I hereby call the Pleasant Valley Recreation and Park District meeting of September 7th, 2016 to order. Please rise. Leo, you want to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Leo. Roll call, please.
Director Kelly? Here. Director Magner? Here. Director Malloy?
Here.
Director Dixon?
Here.
Chairman Mishler?
Here. Agenda item number 4, amendments to the agenda. Do we have anything? No? Okay. I move for a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Vote, please. Roll call.
Director Magner? Aye. Director Malloy?
Aye.
Director Kelly? Aye. Director Dixon?
Aye.
Chairman Mishler?
Aye. Next up is agenda item number 5, which is presentations. And the first one is the district highlights and summer recap. Here we go. Okay.
Good evening, Chairman Mishler and members of the board. My name is Christina Alatorre, and I'm the Recreation Coordinator for the Pleasant Valley Parks and Recreation District. And tonight will be my first highlights. We're going to be going over the September highlights for you. Yikes. So first we have our Pleasant Valley Aquatic Center. We will be having, and we have had, a pool closure from August 22nd through September 5th. During this time, our lifeguards and our maintenance staff will be making and have made repairs together to clean the facility and to repair minor equipment, such as the stairs to our aquatic slide. During the summer, our attendance was about 40,000, and this included swim lessons, which was at 14,500, public swim, 13,500, camps and rentals at 12,000. During the month of September, our outdoor education on September 13th at the community center, we'll be having a healthy garden equals healthy gardener class. On the 27th at the community center, we will be having changing weather equals changing gardens, especially in our drought tolerant season. And at Camarillo Grove Park, at our outdoor education center, we will be having the Birds of Fall, and that will be on September 24th. In our parks and maintenance department, our park staff did some tree trimming. They did tree trimming along the tennis courts at Mission Oaks Park, as well as Pitts Ranch Park. As you can imagine, with growing trees, they also had to replace 48 feet of sidewalk. Some of it had to be removed and replaced. In other parts, they trimmed down the sidewalks, and this is because of roots underneath the sidewalk. And this was done at Mission Oaks Park. At the Freedom Center, our maintenance staff did some cleaning of the building, the trash containers, and some deep cleaning of the barbecue pits. Over at our senior center on September 22nd, we will be having a Healthy Living for Your Brain and Body seminar. And it's important to note that we will have new bingo times beginning Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And those times will be at 12 p.m. in the afternoon. Our community came in and they spoke before you, and they said they had an interest and they had a following of pickleball. So in our open play sports, we will be having drop-in pickleball at Freedom Gym. And those days will be on Mondays and Wednesdays, and the times will be from 8:30 to 11:30 a.m. And this will begin September 12th. As you can imagine, we're getting an early start on our Christmas events. So at the end of this month, on September 30th, is our deadline for early bird rate applications. We have parade applications, and the fee is $35 right now before September 30th. And then for our Santa's Village and vendor applications, those rates are $99 and $110. Vendors, food vendors, and craft vendors. Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now I will be presenting for the district our district spotlight. And as you can imagine, we had a busy summer. And what we're going to be going over is our summer programs. Camp FUNTASTIC is a 10-week program for youth ages 5 to 11. This year for our camp, we hired on 9 new camp staff, which came out to about 21 camp staff total. We had over 2,000 participants, and we went on several field trips, ranging from Marina Beach Park to the Casitas Water Park. In our outdoor education section, which was new this summer, we held 9 hikes, including a junior ranger program, an ethnobotany and Chumash class, and an outdoor survival skilled class. We also held our first ever Mediterranean garden tour. And in this garden tour, they visited 3 local gardens. They learned how to use native plants. And more importantly, the participants of this program learned how to beautify and learn how to make their own landscapes. For our seniors, we had the Senior 4th of July dance. And we also held a trip to Laughlin, Nevada, which was a 3-day and 2-night stay. And in our senior center, they took over 50 seniors on this trip. We also held our Military Veteran Expo, and they did this with the Military Collaborate, and there was approximately 1,200 people in attendance. Every Friday night at the community center, we held a movie in the park. Overall attendance was over 2,000 visitors. Something new that we decided to do this summer is make it more of a family-friendly event. So we threw out hula hoops. We had bag toss out there. So before the movie, while people were picnicking and setting up their areas, children and families had something to do before dusk, before they can see the movie out on the screen. Our community band celebrated their 31st year with us out at the community center. They had over 1,200 people attend, and they held 4 concerts. One thing that makes community bands so special is that they have people in their band, age, I'm going to say from high school age to senior age in this band, and it really shows the community group effort come together for this. So at our summer camp out this year, we had 250 people attend. This was the most amount of people that we've ever had attend in our camp out in history. One thing special that we did with this is we showcased our outdoor wildlife, taxidermy animals, skulls. One of our rangers came out and gave a presentation, and our fire department actually volunteered their time and came out and then showed off their fire trucks. And this was a great educational program for those attending. So our recreation department in a summary. Our attendance for just contract classes, and that's registered contract classes was approximately 3,700. We held 6 senior events. We held 9 movies in the park. Our senior center held 3 senior excursions. We had approximately 27 contracted camps, and that's for youth. We held 13 outdoor education hikes and classes, and we held 1 outdoor education event. And that concludes the end of the spotlight.
Well, thank you. Anything from, any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Is next up, oh, Amy, what's going to happen? Who's going to cover the next?
Next, I would like to introduce Kim Evans and Jane Robb, and they will give a short presentation regarding our Military and Veterans Expo, which was held on the 27th of August.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This is Kim Emmons. Kim is the executive director and also the founder of our military collaborate here in Ventura County, and she's the one that spearheads, and we work so closely with to put on this fantastic event, so I'll let her take over the podium.
Thank you. I just wanted to take a couple minutes of your time to really thank the board and Pleasant Valley Parks and Recreation, in particular the Senior Center, who went above and beyond. This is our 5th year of our Military and Veterans Expo. I run the Ventura County Military Collaborative. I'm a military spouse. My husband retired with 26 years as a Navy Master Chief, so we are local CB family. And I just wanted to explain a few reasons about why we have Expo, what it is, why you guys are supporting it potentially. When we started 5 years ago, we had 300 attendees. Last year we came in at 1,200. We think we had approximately a 20 to 25% increase this year. I'm still working on the data, and I apologize for not having a PowerPoint presentation for you all because you really deserve to see the pictures. For those of you who did come to the event, you got to see it really covered just about every conceivable generation of military service member, veteran, children. We had a World War II veteran who spent, I think, 6 hours there. We gave him a ride at the beginning of the day, and he stayed until the last volunteer left at the end of the day and got his ride back home. In total, in Ventura County, we have 42,000 veterans. That's just veterans alone. That doesn't include their families and their loved ones. We have over 16,000 active duty guard and reservists. So you're looking at a population total of somewhere near 60,000 individuals who have served or are currently serving in the military right now. Like I mentioned, Expo numbers, we believe we probably hit a target around 1,600 to 1,800 total attendees, but we haven't got the complete data at this time. The reason that we have Expo is the Ventura County Military Collaborative. We have 180 government and nonprofit agencies that are part of our collaborative here in Ventura County. And it's all well and good that I know them, but we thought it would be kind of nifty if people in the community actually got to know them as well. So it's a free event. We have sponsors like Carl's Jr. that come out with Carl's truck and give out 500 free meals to military and veterans who register with us at your wonderful facility. We have everything from a kids zone to the Air Force Band of the Southwest play, and just about everything in between. There were mini ponies, and we had Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department did a law enforcement testing on site because we have a job fair in order to get opportunities for military veterans. We believe that we are, if not the largest, the only military and veteran expo in the state of California. So we have other agencies that are very interested in what we're doing. The collaborative itself, like I mentioned, is a nonprofit, which is unusual for collaboratives in the state. Not every county has one, and there is no kind of cookie-like footprint for a collaborative. So we have a lot of people that came specifically to see our event. Those of you who were there saw that the Secretary of California Veteran Affairs was there as one of our speakers, and he has never seen anything like it. So he was just thrilled with what you guys were able to assist us with. And I have to say, on a personal note, Jane and her staff, Denise, and all of Parks and Recreation Department did a phenomenal job. I walked on site Friday afternoon, and everything was ready to go. There was not one thing left to be taken care of. We did at a last minute ask to have the stage moved on to the grass because we realized we had the stage for the Air Force Band sandwiched in between two food trucks. And the reality of having this lovely band in between two food trucks and trying to coordinate the crowds, that we realized that it was probably not logistically going to work out very well. So at a last minute scramble, we were able to get that onto the lawn, and we really just appreciate it. So I am here to just say thank you for the wonderful partnership that we have had with you all, and we hope to continue it for years to come. And if there's anything that we as a collaborative can do to help support Pleasant Valley Parks and Recreation and or the Senior Center, please do not hesitate to call. And in that, I have a donation check to the Pleasant Valley Senior Center for $2,000 from the Military and Veterans Collaborative for helping us with Expo. So thank you. Thank you all. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you very much. I mean, this only works because, yeah, we may have a facility and some staff, but it only works because of the efforts that you and everybody that you're working with puts together. And that's the only reason this works, just because of your efforts and stuff. And I want to thank you for doing this and all the people that you're working with, because I know this takes a lot of time and energy to do these types of things.
Thank you. I think it's truly a remarkable demonstration of community-based partnerships and collaboration. It really is. It was amazing. And like I said, hopefully we look forward to a long career together. So.
Yeah, and I know Mark and I were both there, of course,
Yes.
and we met you.
Yes.
And we were both impressed with what you guys were doing and everything. So thank you very much. Anything else from anybody?
Everybody that was anybody was there. You know, all our elected officials were there locally, and our state senator and state assembly person, and it was really a mind-blowing event. I mean, when you announced that you had every room filled in the place, Mike and I looked at each other and kind of like, that can't be possible, and we wandered around, and you did have every room in the place. It was really impressive, and a number of the organizations I'd never heard of before. It was really something. Good. So for a veteran who wasn't really familiar with the landscape, it would be quite an eye-opening experience, and I'm so thank you. You picked us to partner with. So
thank you.
Terrific.
Thank you very much. All right. Have a great evening.
Thank you very much. Amy, are you going to go next, or?
Thank you, Kim. That was a phenomenal event that you held. Everyone is still talking about it, so it was wonderful. My name is Amy Stewart. I'm the Recreation Services Manager for the Pleasant Valley Recreation and Park District, and I just wanted to touch on a project that has been in the work for about 2 years now, a year and a half, and it's the expansion of the playground at our community center park. So this park was redesigned in 2010, and the cost back then was approximately $165,000. In 2014, the Kiwanis Club, 2 members specifically, the Kiwanis Club of Camarillo, approached me and said, hey, we would love to add additional ADA accessible, specifically wheelchair, accessible equipment to your playground, and we want to do the fundraising for it. Fantastic, right? So it was off. We met several times. We brainstormed different fundraising ideas. We thought about different organizations that could help fund something like this. And we approached the Ambers Light Lions Club here in Camarillo. And I believe this is the first time that the Kiwanis and the Ambers Light Lions Club have ever worked together on a project. So they were so happy that we approached them. They joined forces with us. They loved to do this. And if you remember when we remodeled the Mission Oaks Playground back in 2012, they actually funded one piece of equipment called the Cozy Cocoon, and that was designed specifically for maybe children or adults with special needs that had autism, and the walls are textured of the Cozy Cocoon and it spins. So they were so happy to jump on board with us again for a new project like this. We also, you have to put $1 in the bank. So also on top of that, with our new foundation that we just formed, our foundation jumped on board. So we spoke with them, and by golly, they were behind this project the whole way. So with 3 strong forces besides the district, we knew we could do something major. So after all of us were on board with this, we decided, okay, what kind of equipment are we going to have? And we brainstormed, and we met, and we looked at catalogs, and we looked at different playgrounds online. So what we came up with was this rocking ship. And let me see if my little pointer works here. There we go. Okay, you can't really see it. There you go. So the rocking ship. And the entry is right here to the rocking ship for wheelchair accessibility. We came up with a generational swing. And I'm sorry, but this pointer's not working. It's in the upper right-hand corner. And if you saw my presentation in July, I showed a slide similar to this. This is one of the first generational swings that that is available in Southern California. So we will be one of the first agencies to have this. And then also 4 interactive panels. And they were very specific in what they wanted as far as play value. Obviously, we had huge dreams of what we wanted to build, but then we had to keep bringing it down to reality and doing phases. So the 4 panels include a piano panel because they really wanted to bring instruments and music into this. So that's the panel on the right side. The panel right next to it is a weather pane panel. So we tried to keep in the theme of the ship. So it talks about the clouds and the sun and the rain, and there's different pieces that you can move. This green panel here to the left is a walrus panel. I know, it's a walrus panel. It's really cute. So you put all the different body parts together to create a walrus. Some people think of it as tic-tac-toe, but it's a walrus panel. And then the far left, the yellow one, is a telescope. Obviously looking out into the waters when you're riding the ship. So that was our idea. We were off. We had to hit the ground running, and the fundraising efforts began. So in 2015 and 16, the Kiwanis Club and the Amber's Light Lions, they collaborated and had 2 Applebee's fundraisers. Fantastic. I can't even tell you exactly how much money they made, but hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. And this was all volunteer-based. They were actually waiting tables, serving food. So blood, sweat, and tears behind all of this. In September of 2015, our foundation held their first ever party in the parks, which was a huge, huge success as well. And they very graciously donated proceeds from that event to go towards this project. And then also coming up this weekend, we have our first ever Zumbathon. And if you are willing to work out and just go, go, go for 2 hours, please sign up for this Zumbathon. So as you can see, there's lots of pounding of the pavement to raise these funds. In addition, there are so many times when these 3 groups just reached out to people that they knew. They asked for donation. Sometimes we call it dialing for dollars, asking for money, and they did it all. Here's just the flyer on our Zumbathon. So it's September 10th, so it's this Saturday. Even if you can't participate, but if you want to donate, please do so. You can do so online. You can actually find this on our website at pvrpd.org, but you can pre-register. It's $15, or it's $20 at the door. Now, whether you exercise or you sit there and watch, you're welcome. We'll happily take your $15 or $20, or if you want to give more. And all of that money goes right directly to fund this project. And this project was actually thought of by a mother who is, she's actually the mother, and you can't see this, but she's the mother of those 2 little boys in the wheelchair. So she's she's very much behind this program because her kids attend our parks, our programs, and she wants a bigger and better place for them to play. So this was her brainchild. She is handling this, and it's amazing. So it's this Saturday. It's at our community center. It's from 10 to 12:30, so everyone please come join us. Okay, talking about this equipment. So first off, our playground will be under construction. We have to do demo work. So we are expanding the playground, and we are also taking out, if you recall, if you look at our playground, there is, it symbolizes a swing, but there's no swing on it, and it's green. It's just kind of a big oval shape. We are removing that. We're taking out all of the safety surfacing near that particular swing. Not all of the safety surfacing, but just during that swing, or right around that swing. We're expanding that. Okay, so we're installing the new equipment, the safety surfacing, and with all of this, including a donor sign that will be added, the cost for this project is $52,000, $52,808.86. That's what these organizations raised. If we had to pull that out of our general fund and our budget, that would be very, very difficult for us. So this sign will also be donated, or this sign will also be installed on the site. This is just up to date as of last week. As people are still donating, we are going to add to this sign. So this will be installed. It's a 24 by 24, and it will be near the equipment. Obviously, we have not determined an exact placement of it yet, but it will be on site for everyone to look at. And our platinum sponsors, the Kiwanis Club, the Amber's Light Lions, and the foundation, obviously are highlighted on this because they are the primary ones that donated. Without going into specific figures, all of the Lions Club combined, I want to say donated approximately $12,000 to this. The foundation donated, I believe, $10,000 to this. Kiwanis, through everything else, picked up the rest. And also, we still have money coming in for this Zumbathon right now, which I think raised about $1,000, and we're not done yet. So this is a fantastic project that just shows community-minded organizations, when they come together, what they can achieve. So our groundbreaking timeline. So tomorrow at the community center at 5:30, it's just the groundbreaking ceremony. The demolition will begin in late September, and it will last through approximately late October. We don't have an exact date yet. It's based on weather, any potential issues, anything like that. But we're allowing 3 to 4 weeks for demo and install. And then we anticipate the grand opening the week of October 24th. So our goal is to have this up and running, wide open, and ready long before, well, I'll say 6 days before, our Halloween in the Park event on October 31st. And once again, thank you to all of our donors. This is not a project that the district would have been able to do in this fiscal budget, that's for sure. So $58,000 is fantastic, and everyone should pat themselves on the back because this is huge. Thank you.
Any comments?
Amy, I have a question. The texture area underneath the ship, that is included in that?
Yes.
Or, okay.
Yeah, that's all part of the safety surfacing. And just to give you an idea, the pour in place that we're going with, just for the addition of the rockin' ship and then the addition of the generational swing, that is about $15,000 just for the safety surfacing.
Yeah. But that's wheelchair accessible, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you? Well, thank you, Amy, and I want to thank you for all those people, and I'll talk to them tomorrow, and I'll thank them in person tomorrow.
Perfect.
At the opening. Thank you very much. Next up is agenda item number 6, which is public comment. In accordance with Government Code Section 5494-4.3, the board reserves this time to hear from the public. If you want to speak, please fill out a speaker card. I have several up here with me. And I'm going to be calling them out in the order which they were delivered. And you have 3 minutes each to speak. and the time will start once you start. Please just give your name if you want, if your name, and then if your address if you can. And if there's an agenda item later on, if you're going to be here for an agenda item, you can also talk, of course, at that time for a particular agenda item that's coming up. If you can talk now, or you can wait till that agenda item comes up, if you also have some questions or issues. So the first speaker card I have here is from Bob Aaron.
Excuse me just a minute. Spent most of the time at the VA today. My body all fixed up. I'm ready to go. Okay, thank you very much for allowing me to speak. I wanted to talk about basically two things. One is past the 6th, I think it was, of July. There was a misunderstanding. I was communicating my concerns about a number of issues which were are now a matter of record, and I would recommend that anybody who wanted to review those comments could go to the new formatted setup whereby the whole meeting is now on CD, which is great, and it's broadcasted, or it's right available there with the meeting notes. The issue was around the word criminal. I said something was bizarre, and then I said it's downright criminal. Now, my supposition was that we're neighbors. None of us are criminals, and if we are, then we ought to be charged, tried, convicted, sentenced, and so forth and so on. And I don't think any of that is in the offing. So I said criminal, and what it came out as was criminal acts. And we got into one of the board members was elucidating or putting his touch to it, and that was hurtful, and it was I think just a misunderstanding. We've subsequently talked about that, but I wanted to say in the last minute here, we have to do some hard thinking about some hard issues, and I've got them right here. Okay, excuse me. Would like to put on the agenda for next time, next meeting, the California compensation report that goes to and has gone to Sacramento. I want to go over the Pleasant Valley Fields, the history of it, why we have the way the setup is. Talked about the shortcomings of the field itself that were brought to my attention and a number of other people a number of years ago. So why we are limited not only by policy but also by the way the field was made. Let's see. There are a number of other things, but that's good. And I would ask simply that when we talk, this is not anything other, that's not a plea, but give us the benefit of the doubt. Anybody want to take us on? We're not really taking on individual members. We're welcome to do that. We are welcome to do that, but anyway, I talked too long about that subject, but I wanted to just clarify that for the right reasons. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Next up is Marty Lintz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and the board members. My name is Marty Lintz. I'm a citizen of this community. I'm a senior. I go to the senior center and I take part in some of the activities. And here I have a petition here that over 250 seniors signed, and from almost all the different activities at the senior center. I'd like to read the petition if I may. It's, we, the undersigned, respectfully request that the Camarillo City Council and the Pleasant Valley Park and Recreation Department work in conjunction with each other towards the goal of building a new senior center in which our community can take pride. Why do we need a new senior center? Again, it's overcrowded. The bingo is overcrowded, the bridge, yoga. You should come down there sometimes and look at it. We don't have a computer room. I understand there was a soaring class that wanted to join in, and they can't because there's no more room. And you know, the staff does a fantastic job. Jane, with what resources she has, she's like a 3-ring circus or a 5-ring circus. When you have one thing going on here, another thing's going on, then it changes and it changes, and they do a fantastic job, but they're probably overworked. But that's another story for another time. The good news is that I went in front of the city council and I presented them a copy of the petition, and I told them, about the joint power authority, which that you can join in and work together to build this new senior center. And they was very receptive to it, and they told me that after you do a needs assessment, to get back to them, they'd like to have a meeting with you, and they told me to tell you that and discuss the possibilities. My hope is that they would, pay the majority of it and you would maintain it. The good news, once you build the senior center through the different organizations, it will be filled by seniors. Thank you very much. I'd like to hand in the petition if I can.
Yeah. Thank you, Marty. Next up is Elizabeth Kelly.
Good evening. My name is Liz Kelly, and I live across the street from Pitt Park. And the problem I come here tonight is regarding overcrowded parking at this park. Cars park 2 blocks into our neighborhood, which is right across the street. These cars will even block driveways. And at times, you have double parking in the parking lot at the park, which is on Camarillo. Park is not enjoyable for the local residents that live right across the street. With this overcrowding on holidays, we have the pop-up canvases that go, canopies that go up, the jumpers, and they also drive on to the lawn to deliver their barbecues. There's inadequate supervision on high-volume days such as holidays. I had to finally call the police this Easter Sunday because people were double parking not only in the park, but in the neighborhood and Camarillo. I couldn't get anybody from Park and Recreation, so I had to call the police. Finally, the park was there and the police, and there's just not enough parks like this Pitt Park that has everything convenient, like the restrooms, the large areas, the convenient parking, athletic area that you don't have to make reservations for. To address this problem, the park Park and Recreation needs more parks like Pitt Park, and particularly with the convenience of the restrooms. We have plenty of parks for soccer and basketball fields, but there's not enough like this one. Hopefully with the new Springville home development, there'll be permanent restrooms, and if not, then we're not doing our job. But we need to limit the groups in the parks, the sizes, and there has to be an increase in the park supervision on busy holidays. 2 years ago, on Easter Sunday with an overcrowded park, I got attacked by a pit bull, and I'll be back at another time to talk about that. But there has to be something done about this overcrowding a park and no one supervising them on holidays. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a clarification question. do you see the overparking issue only on the holidays, or you see it when other times too?
Other times, like right now, we're going on with soccer and soccer practices and soccer games, and it's going on at that time.
But is it worse during the holidays, or the same?
The same.
Okay.
Because it's a very narrow street
Yeah,
right there.
I understand.
You know, and it's just crowded.
Okay.
Not enough parking.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Matt Lomer.
Matt Lormer. I've been talking about the senior center since 2012. November 8th is an election in this city. And let me tell you how disappointed I am with this city council, Camarillo. Imagine that other cities around this community, if you go up to Thousand Oaks, Simi Valley, they all give $250,000. This city council, some of the members, if you take all the years, it's 100 years. How many council members have gone down to this city council, down to the senior center to visit it? None. Mr. Morgan goes down during election time. You know, we've been talking about this for a lot of years. You know, I was here 2 years ago in that very room, and you know something? You don't build bridges, the city council, when you talk to the park board and tell them your mother-in-law, I wouldn't take my mother-in-law there, or when you have Dan Lovato, who said basically, hey, you know, let's set 3 meetings up, and the city manager, Bruce Fink, says, if you can't walk and chew gum, we're not interested. So the bottom line is, you look at the city, you look at the firehouse. 20 years they've had that firehouse and it sits empty. Then they put it on the market for 5 months. Then they pull it off the market because they want a restaurant. Now they're in 3 months negotiations to try to deal with that situation. Back to the senior center. You know, you have 69,000 people live in this community, 30%, that's 20,000 seniors. It's unacceptable for people in this community to continue to vote for the same city council who does not serve all your community. You know, at the end of the day, we have a word for people who are in office. They're called public servants. And they don't serve just their own constituents. They serve everybody, whether it's men, women, or child, or anybody. And you know something? You don't get to choose because you don't like a special district called the Park District, or if you don't get along with Caltrans, or whoever you don't get along with. You're supposed to work with everybody. That's what a public servant is. This has been going on for years in this community. So if you're sitting at home, maybe you should check a new box. And that box should be somebody different, whether it's me or anybody, but it's somebody who actually goes to the senior center and moves this process forward. And by the way, the Park District can't do it on their own. The city sits on $120 million. It's going to probably cost between $7 and $8 million to build this thing. But you know something? It's about time, other than when seniors show up to a council meeting like a couple weeks ago, go see the Park District. That's not working with other districts. It's time for the city council to come down there and have some meetings. I understand the assessment, but you know something? Call up the general manager, Mary Ott, and say, you know something? Let's have 2 meetings this year. That's what a city councilman does. You know something? You serve everybody. Stand up in this community and think about who you vote November 8th. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Next up is Bob Garcia.
Bob Garcia, 1267 Camarillo, or Christina Court, Camarillo. First of all, I'd like to thank this lady for putting on that expo. I went to it, and I found it very informative. I've got some good information. I think it's ironic that we're talking about a vet expo, but when I submitted a name for a deserving veteran for the new park, and his name wasn't even put on the list, and I submitted it in plenty of time, and I'm going to read part of the email that I sent to you, Mr. Mishler. It's dated June 10th. I read in the Acorn the new park was to be named. I have a suggestion that I hope you will consider. Victor Galvan Corona was a Camarillo resident in the late 40s and early 50s. He graduated from Oxnard High School and enlisted in the United States Air Force after graduation. He was trained as a gunner and was assigned to a B-26 Intruder Squadron. In May of 1952, Victor's squadron was sent to Korea to conduct combat operations. He was assigned to the 34th Bomb Squadron's 17th Bomb Wing. On July 22, 1952, 6 days shy of his 22nd birthday, Victor was on a night mission over North Korea. His plane made it to the target area. For unknown reasons, Victor's plane and the 3 other crewmen never returned to base, and they were declared missing in action. No wreckage of the plane, no remains of the crewmen, and no indication or no information about what happened to them has been found. At the end of the war, in July of 1953, they were not returned during POW exchange. Victor and the rest of his crew have remained MIA since that day, although they have been declared dead due to hostile action. I went on to ask that his name be considered for that new park. I sent that email to you, Mr. Mishler. I didn't get a kickback, so I have to assume that it went through. A couple of weeks later, around July 25th, I read in the paper that a new park was named after Mr. Vincent. I sent emails to everybody on this board. I got a couple of kickbacks. I kept sending them. They finally went through. I never got a single response. Then I hand-carried hard copies of these emails, and I gave them to Ms. Brooks over at the office, and she said she would deliver them. And she also suggested that I call Ms. Otten, which I did, and I had a lengthy conversation. She said she would look into it. On August 4th, I sent her an email and asked her, I said, I have not heard a word from anybody about this. So we're talking over almost 2 months. And on August 4th, she said she would look into it, see what she can find out, and I still have yet to hear a single reply from anybody. Now, I don't know. I think the word was we need somebody who made a significant contribution. I can't think of more of a significant contribution than losing your life in the defense of this country. I have no problems with Mr. Vincent or the Vincent families. I'm sure he's deserving. But this guy, I saw the list of names on your website, and his name, Victor Corona's name, wasn't on there. And I submitted it in plenty of time. So I don't understand how that was overlooked, and I don't understand why I couldn't get a single response from this board. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Any more cards? Oh, one more. Carlos Corona. Hi.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Chairman Mishler and members of the board. My name is Carlos Corona. I am the nephew of Victor Corona, the name that Bob presented to you about the naming of the park. My purpose here is to plead to you folks on the board about naming, or at least seriously considering, a native son of Camarillo, California. My Uncle Victor and my family, my grandparents, his parents, we came to the area here in 1948. My grandfather, Alvino Corona, knew Mr. Camarillo. Adolfo Camarillo worked for him. I attended high school. I began my, before high school, I began my education at Pleasant Valley Elementary School then. So I have roots here. My family has roots. I still have relatives that live here. So on behalf of my family, the Corona family and Victor Corona's family, I would like to submit to this board that the naming of parks that are present or future parks to be built, or a baseball diamond, because he did play professional, semi-professional baseball league along with my father and his other brothers, my uncles. In fact, Uncle Victor, he was drafted by the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1951 upon graduation from Oxford High School, but he had enlisted in the service of his country. So the agreement was, when you return, and that was the words of the great manager of baseball, Leo DeRocher, he told him, when you return from the war, you come and look me up. Well, sadly, he didn't return, and I believe that my family's life course would have changed having someone in professional sports. But at any rate, the naming of the park, of present parks, I know one park that's called Linda Vista. It's a beautiful park. That could be a possible consideration. So that is the purpose that I'm here today. And I love the city of Camarillo. I have a lot of roots, a lot of friends, a lot of memories. I'm also a member of the Sons of the American Legion with Mr. Garcia in the local, our American Legion Post 741. So in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say that I would highly appreciate it, be eternally grateful if this board would consider the name of Victor Galvan Corona for the future naming of a new park or a park that's coming on board or a present park to be named in the honor and remembrance of my uncle. Thank you very much. Good evening.
Thank you, Carlos. Any more cards? Okay, that will conclude the agenda item number 6, public comment. We'll now go on to agenda item number 7, the consent agenda. Are there any changes? There's no changes to this, we said earlier. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Director Magner?
Aye.
Director Malloy?
Aye.
Director Kelly?
Aye.
Director Dixon?
Aye.
Chairman Mishler?
Aye. Next up is agenda item number 8. These are new discussion items, and the first one is 8A, which is the out-of-range employee salary. And who's going to, oh, okay.
Okay, good evening, Chairman Mishler and members of the board. Ooh, not that tall. Okay, today we're bringing to you, we'd like you to consider for consent approving the updated salary schedule that will reflect our current employee who is out of range. Some of the background: in 2014, our auditors discovered an employee who was being paid out of range. Following that discovery, the staff conducted a thorough audit of all of our employees and discovered that we had over a dozen employees that were being paid out of the salary range. As we began addressing the issue, we brought a new salary schedule to the board, and we've been doing that for the last couple of years to make sure that we keep our employees within the ranges that we have approved. But due to union negotiations, we were unable to address the remaining few employees. We began this discussion with the union after we closed the MOU negotiations, but due to staff changes with the union, we were unable to finalize this until this summer. This kind of shows you the 3 employees that we still have, well, that are currently out of range. As you can see, there are 3 of them here, but most of them have been settled as of the 2016 2% COLA. Our park maintenance lead worker, the first employee, is currently getting paid $33.80, and our salary range has it the top out at $33.44. The park maintenance lead worker, the number 2 employee, is actually now being paid at the correct range. He was $33.44. He was not eligible for his 2016 COLA, and his rate is now within the range. And our grounds facilities 2 employee was a little below what the range went to in 2016, so he was able to get a little bit of a COLA. You'll see in 2017, well, I'll go through this. In 2017, the range will increase to $33.77. The employee who's out of range is at $33.80, and his pay will drop down to the $33.77, and he'll be within the range. He was not eligible for the 2016 COLA because he had been out of range, and he will not be eligible for the 2017 COLA. But once he is in the range and our new contracts are negotiated, and if there's COLAs that are coming up, then he will be eligible for those later. Our second employee here was at $33.44, and he was not eligible for the 2016 COLA. And the 2017 COLA, which is a 1%, he will be eligible for. And finally, our third employee was at $28.92, and he is now within the range as well and will be eligible for the full 2017 COLA of 1%.
We did take this to the Personnel Committee in June to review it. Again, this is just adding an extra line for the Park Services lead worker to make sure that he is within the range. That way, if he were to retire at any point, his range would show the correct rate and CalPERS would accept that. At this time, there's no fiscal impact. And again, we're just asking you to review and update the salary schedule to reflect the current employees who are out of range.
Are there any questions?
I do.
Yeah, go ahead, Neil.
Just to be clear, the schedule we're going to be voting on is the schedule that's been negotiated with SEIU previously. This is not really a change in our plans.
No, it's not really a change. It's just what we're kind of doing is essentially giving him his COLAs prior to the COLA being given to everybody else. That's why we're allowing him to remain within the range. So when it tops out in 2017, that's where everybody else's salary will be going to as well.
And how does it happen that somebody gets out of range?
Okay, so there were a few factors in this, and most of them have gone back probably the last 20 years. It's been about the last 20 years that this has been going on. So what's gone on are multiple factors, and each of these employees actually have different things going on. But one of the big things that happened, I think it was about 15 years ago, when we went from paying monthly to biweekly. The calculations weren't done correctly, and so it looked like there was some miscalculations, and some of them were just like pennies for a while, and then they just started compounding. Also, another big change that happened when their employees started paying Social Security on their own. The district stopped paying the Social Security benefits. They picked it up, and there was a COLA that was along with that, and it seemed to be there was a miscalculation in there. And most of the time, these employees were just pennies. It was a difference of pennies, but these few employees it compounded.
Are we going to have a mechanism in place now to monitor for that?
Yeah, we absolutely have a mechanism in place now. That's why we bring the salary schedule to you once a year. We're looking at these on a daily basis, and our new payroll software won't allow an employee to be out of range. It will give us an error message before it will even be allowed. So it can't happen any longer.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the updated salary schedule to reflect the current salaries of employees out of range.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Director Magner?
Aye.
Director Dixon?
Aye.
Director Kelly? Director Malloy?
Aye.
Chairman Mishler?
Aye. Next up is Agenda 8B, which is the approval of the amendment, or what? We're doing an amendment to the contract agreement between the district and Quality Landscape Care for the maintenance of the new Mel Vinson Park. And Matt's going to talk to us.
Good evening, Chairman Mishler, members of the board. Tonight before you, we have item 8B. It's consideration of the approval of the addendum to the contract agreement between the district and Quality Landscape for the maintenance services at Mel Vincent Park, the new park that we have coming online. Just to give you a little background, we're Comstock Homes. They were finalizing a 5-acre turnkey park, which is located off of Ponderosa Drive and Calistoga. And this development is a 5-acre park parcel that is located north of Highway 101, south of Ponderosa Drive, and east of Springville Drive. Here's a parcel right here. Here's Ponderosa Drive, Calistoga's right here, and the 101 would be here, just to put you in kind of geographic relation to site. And the timeline for this construction to be completed, the estimated completion of it is set for October. And then the developer will assume the maintenance of the site for a 90-day grow-in period before turning the responsibilities over to the district, which will be approximately January 1st, depending on the completion of that 2017. And some more background. Since 2008, the district has utilized contractual landscape maintenance. By utilizing a blend of this, the contract and in-house staff, we've been able to increase service delivery, quality of service standards, and I forgot in here, reduced overhead costs. So it's a reduction. We reduced our overhead with that. Let's see here. February 2016, the district entered a 2-year agreement with Quality Landscape for a sum of $147,960. This current contract is a basic once a week service that includes mowing, edging, weed management of planters, tree wells, fence lines, and hardscapes. Also included is trash and litter remover and minor tree care. If the board decides to approve the addendum to the contract, it would increase the contract by $6,018 for fiscal year 16-17 and $12,036 for fiscal 17-18. Here's a cost comparison between the difference between in-house versus contractual support, which is at the difference of $5,604 plus which doesn't include the expense of fuel, maintenance of equipment, herbicides, and supplies for the in-house staff to maintain the park. So if the board decides to approve the addendum to the landscape contract with Quality, there will only be a $2,418 negative fiscal impact to the assessment budget this fiscal year versus a $5,220 plus the expense for incidentals, maintenance of equipment and possible capital for in-house. So if the board may choose not to take this recommendation on this item, alternative options would be to initiate district staff to maintain Mel Vincent Park, which would include increased staff, capital, equipment, supplies, and so forth. So it is staff's recommendation to consider the approval of the addendum to the contract between the district and Quality Landscape for Mel Vincent Park.
Thank you, Matt. Do we have questions from the board?
So we'll carry a negative in the assessment budget? It won't be negative. It'll be, instead of $114,000 to the positive, it would be $112,000. So what this means is we guessed about what the cost would be when we came to the board, when we went to for budget. So it'll be a $2,000 difference from what we originally budgeted, $2,400. Okay. So we'll still be to the positive in the assessment.
Okay, and so if it's not ready until February 1st, why we're flexible with Quality that we can do February 1st or whatever?
Yes, we just wanted to make sure to get this to the board prior to that opening and make sure that we brought this so they were ready to go once they released the park to the district.
So the effective date will be when it needs to happen, not when we think it's going to happen.
Right. Our projected date right now, based on their timelines, is January 1. So that's what we're saying with the board, but it could come back. It could be January 15th. It could be whenever their release date is.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Matt, how did
Are you aware of how either one of the proposals, how the amounts were calculated?
It was calculated based on time, the time to what they projected it would take to fulfill those services.
Per hour? They're at normal hourly rate?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Neil, we have a question?
Yeah, I just had one. On your aerial view map, is the green area, that's the park?
Correct.
And it's a large rectangular area that looks like that's about half of it. Yeah, there's another 5-acre segment
No, this area here is the 5 acres.
Okay.
This over here is another development.
That would be the townhomes next door.
That's probably about 7 acres that they're putting townhomes in.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Is that a recent picture, Matt?
No, that picture was probably the latest image from Google. So it was probably taken in, I would say, probably February, March, sometime then.
Because the park is, you should mention that the park is basically mostly in by now.
Yeah, it's
and they're out. I see what makes me a little bit nervous because every time I drive by there, I see their workers out there with these large water hoses watering down the grass, and I'm hoping the sprinkler system will work. But I always get nervous when I see these people out there with their large water hoses instead of using the sprinkler system.
Yeah, it's working. They just because it was sod, they're having to supplement it with extra water. I actually went out there today, and they had the large rotors and the turf operating. So it's a combination just to get that water down.
Okay, thank you. No more questions. Do we have a motion for this?
I'll make a motion to approve the addendum to the contract agreement between the district and the Quality Landscape Care for landscape maintenance services to include maintenance of Mel Vincent Park.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Director Magner?
Aye.
Director Dixon?
Aye.
Director Kelly? Director Malloy?
Aye.
Chairman Mishler?
Aye. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Next up, it's agenda item 8C, which is branding park signs. I think Amy is going to talk to us. And we have some signs here, of course, in the room. For people at home who probably can't see, there are some signs out here, displayed out here in the room. Bob, as Amy is talking, why don't you turn that around also to show the TV people this in case.
Well, the camera's on Amy, so you can see it.
I know, but
Watch out, Leo.
this is
Actually,
okay.
I think the best spot is like right
No.
here.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. This is finally coming to fruition. We started on this project, gosh, I think in February. So what we're asking tonight is for the board to consider approving the pilot program for park signs at Adolfo Park, Mission Oaks Park, and Wood Creek Park. So a little bit of background. This is more for our television audience and our audience here in the chambers, but we started to meet back in February of this year regarding branding of the district. As you know, many of us or many of our community still believe that we are a member of the city or a department of the city rather than a standalone special district. So how can we get this message out? We are a standalone special district. We've been here for, I think 55 years now. So we developed an ad hoc committee for branding, and we really focused more on park signage first. So we met on February 24th, March 31st, June 1st. And our primary discussion was related to park signs. The current signs that we have in our parks vary in age, size, type, consistency. Some of them don't even have logos anymore. Some of our park signs are gone. So we have parks that don't have names. So obviously this needed a big overhaul. So this was primary. As we went through all of our committee meetings, we decided on a design for a park sign. We decided on approximate sizes, the priority for the replacement of the signs, which first was parks with no signs, and then secondly, parks located on a busy street and in need of replacement. So that in our July 6th board meeting, it was approved to have $30,000 dedicated towards branding, which was specifically for the construction, the purchasing, and the installation of park signs. So with that said, we researched various sign companies, some sign companies in the state, out of the state, across the nation, and we decided that, of course, we needed to have signs that were easy to read, full color, UV and graffiti resistant, not proof. I don't know if anything is proof, but resistant. The sign material varied. No matter who we contacted, everyone had such a different sign. And staff determined it would be best to perform a pilot program before investing this $30,000 and overhauling our park signs. So this is why I'm here today. This was not a concept that was discussed at a prior board meeting. As we sat down and really looked at this project as a whole and said, wait a minute, how can we best spend this money and get a product that we like, that's quality, that's going to last us, easy to read, and will represent the district. So we decided on a pilot program. So we determined the 3 parks for this program. The first is Adolfo Park. As many of you know, this park is located on Adolfo Road. It's a very, very busy street. And if you happen to notice the sign, it needs immediate replacement. The Wood Creek Park that we have in the Mission Oaks area currently has no sign. And also Mission Oaks Park, one of our largest parks, again has no signs. And this park is primarily located on 2 main streets, which is Mission Oaks Boulevard and Fieldcrest. So for this pilot program, we decided to choose the park sign that would go on Fieldcrest, which is near the off-leash area for the dogs. Our goal is to have these signs installed by early October. As you can see with the signs here, they might even be installed sooner. We worked very, very hard to get these here to this meeting so you could see them. Okay, just going over some of the signs that you have in front of you today. So Adolfo Park, okay, that sign is not here. That is a 3x6. So that's larger than the sign that's out there. 3 feet tall by 6 feet wide. The material that we will use for that one for you to try is called interlock. That whole sign, so the sign, it's double-sided. It includes the post, the framing, everything comes ready for us to put in the ground is about $1,800. And that sign is actually made out of this material right here. This material is what is at our nature center, and these signs have been installed for well over a year. So you can see how they held up over the course of almost 2 years now. So the Adolfo Park sign will be double-sided and in this material. Wood Creek Park, so there's an entrance off of Fieldcrest, and since that faces, and it's so close to the resident homes right there, we decided to go a little bit smaller for you to see. This sign will be installed on the fence, and it's a 2x4. That's actually this sign, which is the interlock sign. And the company that we chose is very meticulous. They sent us the hardware, wanted to know how we're going to install it, pre-drilled everything. If you notice, you do not see any bolts or anything in the front, so they're very meticulous about that. The second park at Wood Creek is a 3x6, and this is made out of dye bond. Okay, and that is that sign right there, and it's very lightweight. I can pick it up and carry it over my head. 3x6, this will be closer to the school along Wood Creek Boulevard. That just gets a ton of school traffic. So we wanted a sign large enough where maybe you can notice it from a couple cars behind, and you can clearly see that this is Wood Creek Park. This will be installed on a fence as well. Okay, so this is Dibond, which is like an aluminum type material, and I have all of the information on the types of signs listed in the report as well. And then the Mission Oaks Park sign that will be on Fieldcrest, this is MDO, which is medium density plywood, I think it is, 3 feet by 6 feet. Let's see here. So that particular sign, and I apologize, it's actually double-sided. I put single, but this sign, if I were to hold it up and flip it over, it is double-sided. And that's to gather the traffic both ways on the street, however we position them. This particular sign, double-sided, $858, but that does not include any of the posts or installation. So we still have to purchase the supplies for that. We figured, we estimated $300 to $500 for that. And all of these signs will be installed with in-house staff. Okay, so in review, pilot program at 3 parks, Adolfo, Wood Creek, and Mission Oaks. We have 4 signs total. The 4th one is not here, and I'll talk about that one in a second. The various materials and sizes are here in front of you, so you can touch, see, feel, look at it. The signs will be installed by early October. Like I said, at least the Wood Creek Park signs will probably be installed sooner, since those are going right on the fence. And what we're asking is, in the November board meeting, provide us with the direction. So provide us direction ahead of time on all of this. We want all of your feedback, your comments, your concerns, the signs that you like. Maybe there's a glare on one or anything. So that's the time for this pilot program before we invest thousands and thousands of dollars on this. The sign that's not here, and you have this in your packet, is the Adolfo Park sign. So these posts are aluminum posts. They're 6 inches. These are 10 feet tall. And the reason why we went with 10 feet tall is because one of the primary things when we looked at all of the park signs, and we discussed this in our branding meeting, is the height off of the busy streets. So again, when the cars are lined up, you can see your sign. It's clear. All of these signs are within the sign code, should I say, for the city, so we don't have to worry about any of that. All of this clearly fits within it. This park, we're estimating, Bob and I and Mary figured out the height on this. So this sign will be above the ground approximately 3 feet. Okay, so that gives us visibility. This sign is 3 feet tall, and then this is a 3-inch frame on the top and the bottom. And the reason why I bring this to you so you can see this is because this particular sign and this model was not discussed or looked at in our branding meetings. And the reason why is simply because we didn't know that this was out there. This is used as a monument sign. You see it in national parks. You see this particular type of sign with this material, the aluminum posts, in other cities and other parks in LA County and Orange County. So this particular sign has a history of being able to withstand the elements. So that's why we bring this to you today. It basically comes with a drop-in place. Again, the park staff has to maybe do some irrigation, removal, replacement, digging the holes, putting it in cement if we decide this is what we want to go with, and then we can look at this. Again, it's so meticulous, the holes come pre-drilled already, so I could put it together, and you don't want that. Okay, the fiscal impact. So the fiscal impact of the park signs, the purchase and installation is already included in our budget. So it's within the $30,000. So at this time, there's no fiscal impact. We're already budgeted for this. And I'm requesting from you tonight that you review and approve the pilot program for these 3 parks. And we will try to get them installed as soon as possible so you can drive by, look at them, touch, feel, anything. And that's it.
Thank you, Amy. Just a quick question. I don't think we actually need a vote, do we, from the board on this? You just want general feedback, right? Comment. What you're looking for is our general comments. There's no motion here.
Well, you can approve the pilot program.
Oh, okay, okay, we can do that. I'm just asking. I'm just trying to clarify.
Yeah, you can approve the pilot program. So, and then the idea would be to come back with board feedback, staff feedback. So like the November meeting, we're able to move forward of, we really like this sign, we don't. So.
Okay. Let me just make one statement for the public. And some of these parks, like Mission Oaks Park, Amy already mentioned, doesn't have a sign. Mission Oaks Park has never had a sign. It's 20 acres, one of our major parks. It's never had a sign. So for people out there wondering how we're spending this money was never spent. The sign at Wood Creek Park was originally wood, and it rotted out and fell down years ago and never was put back up again. So people just have to remember that, even though we're spending money, some of this money should have been spent 20 years ago, and they never did. So we're just trying to catch up on stuff. Questions?
Yes. The bases have we talked about how we're going to do the base of the area around the base of the signs, making it gravel or something so that it's easier to maintain?
Internally, we talked about it being drought tolerant, but we don't have a specific plan yet. But that's something to consider for our November board meeting.
Yeah, I would think that we need to think about that, because I was just thinking about the one at Adolfo. That would be an ideal area to look at doing some drought tolerant or something different, especially when that sign is kind of unique, which I happen to like. Just
any comments?
Yeah. I'm assuming that all 3 of these companies would certainly like the business, and the prices that we see here, is that the full price of similar signs that we would buy if we were to buy additional ones, or is there going to be more of a volume discount if we buy additional ones, or did they give us a special price as an incentive on these?
Again, we can't say this for sure, but every company that I spoke to did say if we do volume, then they would be discounted. But they couldn't for these particular ones, just because it's one, they don't know the size, but definitely.
I think what Neil is asking here, Director Neil Dixon, is asking is that they didn't give us a discount on these prices.
No.
Okay, so these prices weren't discounted.
They're as is, yes.
These are their standard. If you just ordered one-off sign, this would be the standard price.
Correct.
Oh.
So if we order multiple, we might see actually lower prices per sign. Okay. The other, and so our period of time where we're going to be looking at these is October to November. Is that? I guess the only limitation I see that would see on that is that part of the issue is going to be the durability of these signs over a period of time, and 1 month may not give us that. I wonder whether we should consider a longer period. I know we want to get moving forward with getting this done, but maybe we need a longer period of observation to see how they weather over the winter and that sort of thing.
Do you have a recommendation?
I would suggest we go for that we look at them through the winter months and see how they hold up over a period of time when there's rain and weather changes and things like that. But I'd be particularly concerned about a sign that's made out of wood. How is that going to hold up assuming we get some rain this winter? That whether that's going to affect that. Is there? And I guess that would a question sort of related to that is there a guarantee associated with these signs in terms of how they will hold up under weather conditions?
Some of them do have warranties, and they vary. Each one has a different warranty.
So I think that would be important for us to know what that warranty is when we go to choose which ones we're going to want.
I'm a little concerned about the ability of the signs to hold up myself, especially in light of the fact that that sign's already chingered up as it sits here tonight. It looks like it anyway. Maybe my eyes aren't that good, but it looks like that corner is chingered up.
Right. The one in front.
Oh, this one came in shipping, yes.
So it hasn't even been hung yet, and and it's already proven that it can't take much. I'm assuming their shipping is adequate, and so it can't take much abuse. So if it's hung out in a busy park with a lot of kids and so forth, I'm now starting to maybe question it a little bit. But I agree with Dr. Dixon that maybe we should have a little bit longer period of time just to see how they hold up. I'm not that strong on that. I know we need to get this done, but when the sign comes out here and it's already damaged.
Sign companies are actually in the business of building signs, and they know a lot more about it than we do. I think what we're really going to know in a month is the experience of the staff in putting them up, and how easy one material is to work with than the other. What is it like when you drill a hole in it? How does it slide in? How is it true? And they're familiar with the problems we have in a park a lot more than we are, because they deal with them every day. And I think they'll give some pretty solid recommendations of which one they think is going to hold up the best. The truth is that any sign can be vandalized. You take a baseball bat to any one of those and you can destroy it very quick. You spray paint on it and it's allowed to sit for a week, and it'll be very hard to get that paint off. The nature of things is that problems happen. The fact that we're going to be able to get 4 signs for about $3,000 and essentially at the one-off price, this is going to be a relatively simple problem to solve, which is frankly embarrassing that it's gone this long without being addressed. So I think the way the staff's approach it with some different materials and different methodologies is great, and that they'll have some good feedback from us, after they're put in. But how the signs look over time is going to have a lot more to do with what happens to them unplanned, actually being in the park. But I think we'll know a lot more, and I'll be really happy when we have consistent visibility amongst our parks and in our signage. And I'm really glad, Mike, you ragged on us about this, and staff has done a great job coming up with a variety of solutions. And for $3,000, we're going to learn a lot here and be ready to really handle the problem. So I'm all for it, and look forward to seeing them in the parks.
Yeah, I just want to add, to me, the biggest thing I saw, the first thing that hit me when I saw this presentation was the fact that the cost wasn't very high. I was happily surprised that we can do these types of things for this type of cost compared to what I was worried about costing. And so I'm happily surprised, like Director Mark Malloy mentioned, that the costing, the cost factor here is pretty reasonable in my mind anyway. And then, and again, I think all these are all sign companies, so obviously they all know what they're doing on their side of the business, and it would probably take a 5-year pilot test to figure out which sign's going to hold up the best over 5 years. But I think what Amy was saying at first was, and I think this is good, is how are these going to look actually on the site in terms of the size, in terms of the sunlight hitting it? Is there a weird reflection or something like that? How hard these signs are to work with by staff putting them up? Is one particular sign more difficult for the staff to work with or deal with or something? So those are the issues I'm looking at. I'm not looking at a durability thing, because we're not going to know for 5 or 10 years down the road, hopefully, which ones are going to start to fail first. But anyway, I can go on that. I mean, we're in no rush. There's not like a panic situation. We've gone, 20 years or something without a sign at Mission Oaks, so we can go a couple more months if we had to. But we're making good progress. I appreciate the staff here coming back with the different companies and different product lines for us to look at, and I think that's a good idea. Do we have a motion? Daniel, you want to propose anything?
Well, I would like to propose that we move forward with approving the staff's recommendation to go ahead and install these signs on a pilot program, but I would like to amend it to the decision on which signs to choose to, say, the March meeting of next year, to give us a little bit more extended period of time of observation. And as another comment, I'd also like to see, when we return to discuss this, what the warranty is on from each company. Did that come across clearly? Okay.
Karen, you have that down? Okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Director Dixon?
Aye.
Director Kelly? Aye. Director Magner?
No.
Director Malloy?
Aye.
Chairman Mishler?
Aye. Okay.
Thank you.
Next item is agenda item 8D, which is the consideration and approval to request proposals for the district needs assessment.
Good evening, Chairman Mishler and board members. My name is Mitchell Cameron, Administrative Analyst for Pleasant Valley Recreation Park District. Today, we are recommending that the Board of Directors approve the request for proposal for the needs assessment required to further enhance the understanding of the community needs. In 2013, the district conducted a strategic plan that identified 4 separate items, including a collaboration with strategic partners, identifying a balance of programming and facilities, again, identification of changing demographics, and organizational health to meet the district's service goals. In 2013, the district also developed a 5-year capital improvement plan, which identified parks that would require modification, replacement, and improvement in the next 5 years. And then in 2016, the district seeks to accomplish the vision set forth in the strategic plan and capital improvement plan, and budgeted for a needs assessment. Staff conducted analysis. We identified 5 different tasks that we think will accomplish the goal set forth in the strategic plan and the capital improvement plan, and in budgeting for this needs assessment this fiscal year. This includes community outreach, public participation, level of service analysis, park and recreation gap analysis, feasibility and implementation, and to conclude with the final presentation. We'll go a little bit more in depth in this as we continue. All right, so for the community outreach and public participation, what we've identified are 6 different items, including specific focus groups meetings, which will, as the name entails, we'll focus in on specific groups and identify what services we're providing, what opportunities we may have to improve, and what they need in the future. We'll then work with the community, holding workshops and meetings to gather further feedback from them. We will then continue with surveys, including mail, telephone, internet, so that can be email surveys, to get as much feedback as possible. That's really the goal of this part of it, is to get as much feedback as we possibly can from our community. We'll work with stakeholder user group interviews. So again, we want to work with the board, we want to work with city council, we want to work with the healthcare district, get as much feedback from them as we can. So all the stakeholders in the area, again, we want to collaborate as much as possible, and we think this will be a great way to do that. And we would definitely want to top it off with a statistically valid survey. We want to make sure all the information we have could hold up, and as we can continue to plan over the years, we have the right data to support what we're looking to accomplish. And one thing we're looking to obtain the needs assessment is a strategy to obtain input from non-user groups. The second item that we've identified that's going to contribute to identifying the community needs is our level of service analysis. 6 different items identified in this portion of it, including an overview of district offerings. What we're looking for here is the general concept of different offerings we have, what we're providing to the community currently, an asset inventory and analysis. So we're looking at what park structures we have, what facilities we have. We're looking to identify the shape of those assets and what timeframes we may need to budget to improve those. Again, a portion of this is a facility inventory and analysis, so identifying our facilities and what space they have and at what time frame we may need to improve those. And we'll continue that with the parks inventory analysis, and then we're looking to identify our recreation programs and potential analysis for partner organizations in the future. Any questions to this point? All right, another area, again, is a park and recreation gap analysis. So we will identify gaps in parks and programming. And again, these two areas we think are really the bread and butter with this project, in the sense that they're going to identify what we're doing and what we're not doing and what we can do to get where we need to go. So we'll compare district offerings with community need and industry standard and trends. So we'll look at what the community is telling us we need, and we'll also look at what surrounding similar entities, similar districts, similar recreation and park entities are doing, and where we can improve. And again, where we're doing really well at. Analysis should itemize lists of programs, facilities, and assets that would fill gaps, prioritize lists based off current and future needs. All right, and a big part of this needs assessment is identifying how we're going to do it. So really, we could say we're going to build a spaceship to the moon, but if it's not feasible and we're not able to implement it, this is what's going to help us out. So identification of potential funding sources, whether that be Quimby funds, whether that be working directly with the city, whether that be working with user groups. We're going to spend a timeline for implementation of future cost. So anything that identified in our capital improvement plan, anything we identify that we need to do in the future, we're going to identify a timeline to implement this. A big portion of it is going to be maintenance and operation costs. We want to make sure that we not only plan for the facility cost or the program cost, but we identify what it's going to cost staff, what it's going to cost taxpayers to maintain these programs in the future. We're going to plan to develop programming based off analysis. So if we don't have programs that are meeting our community needs, excuse me, we want to make sure we have a plan to develop that. It's easy to say that we want X program, but if we don't have a way of getting to X, there's an inherent problem in that equation, and we look to solve that here. 5, we look to develop program for acquisition and maintenance of facilities. And 6, final implementation plan. And we look to conclude with a final presentation, and we in the RFP to include a presentation to the district board. Our projected project schedule. You'll notice a slight change here with the release request for proposal. We're looking to release that September 18th. I think some of the documentation said September 9th, but that was updated to September 18th. The deadline for proposals will be October 7th. Again, we look to select consultants to interview October 14th, conduct interviews for the consultant October 19th through October 21st, and then we look to bring this back to the board November 3rd for final approval and selection. We're anticipating that the consultants that we work with have a completion of preliminary assessment April 2007, and then again, or I apologize, April 2017, and then a final presentation to the board in May of 2017. Fiscal impact. So this specific action item will have no fiscal impact, but again, we look to bring this back in November, which will trigger a fiscal impact. We currently have this budgeted, like I said earlier, for this fiscal year. We budgeted around $63,000 for this needs assessment. And again, we're requesting that the board approve the request for proposal for the needs assessment required to further enhance the district's understanding of the community needs. Any questions or concerns for me today?
Buddy, you want to start?
After I looked at this, and I know that we've talked about this before, but it just seems like this is like sailors that ship on a battleship, sitting around wondering where they're going to eat that night. Trying to assess our needs when we already know where our needs are, like the senior center, the 2 gyms that we wanted to build, and now it's a distraction, in my opinion, in that, yes, we have needs. Yes, we have to do something about them. But it's almost like telling the public that even though we have greater needs, we're out assessing new needs. When the job is at hand, everybody knows what it is. We have to find a way to accomplish it. And so I guess I'm not too big on this.
And the feedback is taken. What I think really what we're looking to do is get as much data as possible and get as much user input as possible, as opposed to listening to a few. We want to make sure we get the needs of the many, and then we take that into account and then prioritize how we're going to address those needs. That was one of the main purposes of this, to make sure we take everyone's voice into account.
Isn't part of this going to be to help quantify? I mean, we can say, for example, I'm just using this as a hypothetical, the senior center needs to be enlarged or expanded. Well, how much does it need? How much of a need of expansion do we need?
Right.
This will help us.
Correct.
In that direction. So it's not a question of just needing a larger expanded senior center. It's how much more.
Correct. That's correct. So as part of the needs assessment, I think one of the things that we've kind of talked about as we're going down this journey is to make sure. I think everybody in this room can probably say, and we've heard it tonight, that that seniors are in need of space. I don't think anybody in here would say that they're not. I think what we're trying to make sure is whatever we build, we know what we need to put in those buildings when we build them. So if we need a senior center, what needs to go in there? I know right now we've got the gym out at Freedom, and I know we've kind of talked about this a little bit because we kind of forget about it. But if that gym, being that it's 2 years old, were to go away, there's a huge group of seniors that we would no longer serve. So I think what we're trying to figure out as we do this is not only that we know that we need that, the question is how do we need to build it? What needs to be in there? Is it just a senior center, or is it a senior center and we also need other things that are there? So it really is, like Chairman Mishler said, of what are the priorities? How do we move those priorities forward to make sure that we can meet the needs?
But Mary, this isn't just about the senior center. This is about a whole array of needs.
Yeah, that was only an example.
That is correct.
Yeah.
And so the senior center will get short shrift in with this sea of other needs. We all know we have needs. That's not a secret, and we all know that we have increasing pressure on us all the time for funds. And I don't know. I just think we should spend our time doing on the things we know we need to do, and we don't have to pay anybody to tell us that.
Anything else? No. Mark, you have anything? Questions or comments?
Well, I have some of those feelings that Bob has, but and I'm always impatient to move forward. But I think a bigger assessment of our overall needs, especially in considering our future needs. The city has approved quite a few residential projects, and we're going to have a lot more people living in this community. And, we're going to have more 3 minutes of I want this and I want that. And if we do this right, and I suspect we'll pick a supplier that will do it right and will give us some strong understanding of what the community is asking for and why, it will help us make better decisions than just hopscotching from one thing to another, which is what you tend to do when you don't have a big picture plan. And although I'd prefer the big picture plan to be my personal plan, I don't really think that's a good idea, because there's 5 of us with personal plans. And I think if we do this job right, the really pressing needs will bubble to the surface clearly based on the facts and the analysis of what our needs are, and this will be very useful for us. We are now emerging out of a place where we were just trying to pay the bills, and now we can really start thinking about how to move forward. And I want to make sure we do it right. And although that's a significant investment in both time and money, I think if we do it right, it can be worth it. So I'm supportive of doing this.
I'm very supportive, because I think, not just going off of what Director Malloy said, but I think our relationship with the city, and if we're looking at expanding our boundaries, this also shows the people in our non-user group that this is what we're going to be able to offer you. We have a plan. And I think that's so important to have the plan. And I have my personal plan, but that doesn't necessarily need to be the Pleasant Valley Recreation and Park District plan. So I'm totally in support of it.
Yeah, to me, it looks to me, I agree with Director Kelly that a lot of what we're talking about in terms of what our needs are, we do know what our needs are, but another part of this looks to me like not only do we identify what our needs are, but how do we get there? And how do we get there is the biggest obstacle, of course, is going to be funding for most of this sort of stuff. And I think having a plan like this allows us to go to the city, allows us to go to the taxpayers with a plan in mind. This is what our needs assessment has said that we need to serve you better, and this is why we need to generate additional revenue to do it. And that gives us ammunition to discuss it with the city and ask for their support. And if we need the taxpayers to support us, then to go to them, and that's with that same information.
I'd like,
Yeah.
I'd like
Go ahead.
to
Yeah,
respond
go
to
ahead.
that.
Yeah.
First of all, with all due respect, that's not what the city asked for. The city wanted to have specific plans regarding the senior center, not a long list of unmet needs from the Park and Rec district. So producing this isn't going to do anything with any kind of relationship or perceived relationship we have with the city. They're not going to be impressed by a long list of unmet needs here at the district. My 2 cents.
Okay, well, I'll just chime in with my comments for a minute. To me, one of the key issues here is moving forward with the city is to actually work with the city, to have the Park District be interfacing and working with the city hand in hand moving forward and getting that, working out relationships and getting the city staff and city council used to the fact that they should be working with us, not just telling us from time to time, sign off on this or sign off on that. And so I think this whole exercise, while it also will quantify and give us some ideas and stuff, I think a key component of this is physically building those relationships with the city and hopefully the city council to know that we're all in the same community working together. This is not us versus them or them versus us. And the Park District, the Healthcare District, all the school district, the city, we're all part of the community. And I think a key part here is for the city council to recognize the fact that they are part of this community and they need to be moving forward with some of these ideas. And this, when we go down a list, I mean, I can easily put up 100 things that we want to, that I can come up with to, that the Park District can do. That's not the issue. The issue is, you know, to help quantify some of these things. And the city, I don't think, we're not, the issue here is not to go out with this list and show it to the city and say, well, look, guys, we want you to, that's not what we're talking about. The only item on this whole list potentially that has some, direct cost from the city potentially, in my mind, is the senior center. Because just like the cities of Thousand Oaks and Simi Valley have spent tens of millions of dollars over the last several decades building first-class senior centers, and this city hasn't spent a dime in the last 30 years on the senior center. So this was an exercise to go through, see what we need to get us up to a first-class senior center, potentially, if we want to do that, and then involve the city with us and get them used to working with us. So anyway, that's my comment on this. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the request for proposals for the needs assessment required to further enhance the district's understanding of the community's needs.
I'll second. Roll call, please.
Director Magner?
Aye.
Chairman Mishler?
Aye.
Director Kelly?
No.
Director Malloy?
Aye.
Director Dixon?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Next up is agenda item 8F, which is consideration and approval, approval of a request for proposals for a 5-year lease on a cutter copier. Oh, no? Did I miss something?
80. You missed 80.
8E. Oh, I'm sorry. My mistake. That's why I heard Elaine over there commenting on. I'm sorry. 8E. My mistake.
That might be easier.
Okay. So, why is Bob getting up here to talk about Cutter? Okay, my mistake. Consideration and approval of bid specifications and a request for proposal of parking lot repairs at Bob Cody Park. Sorry, Bob. Your turn.
Good evening, Director Mishler and members of the board. Tonight, I'm going to come to you asking for approval of our Bob Kildee parking lot. It's in dire need of some work, and the trees have done some damage. This project was identified in our 2013-2018 five-year plan, capital plan. The funds we approved this year to do it, cost estimates $120,000. Our property goes from the Boys and Girls Club over to the baseball fields, and all that land will be, and including the walkways back there, all that will be re-slurried, and some of it will be torn out and replaced. The scope of the work is to remove approximately 6,000 square feet of raised asphalt due to the tree damage. There's 6 Monterey pines that have caused some damage. They're pretty bad over the past 20 years I know of. Come back in there and they'll grade and subcompact it back down to compaction levels. They'll install approximately 105 feet of linear 2x4 header board and pave back with 3 inches of hot asphalt mix. Then they'll come through, and there's about 1,200 square feet of low spots, and they got some big alligators that will be taken out and cleaned and patched. Depends how bad it is. And then they'll come through for the big job. They'll clean. It's about 132,000 square feet of the asphalt. They'll clean it. They'll re-slurry it with the Type 2 road slurry. Then they'll match the parking lot, restripe it to match the existing pattern. Here's some of the pictures of the damage of the trees. It just kind of looks like the moon.
That's where I parked the other day.
Oh, good. You didn't twist an ankle. I apologize for the typo. Oh, no, it got changed. Okay, on your agenda report, I'm sorry. There's a couple typo mistakes. I'm sorry. I apologize. The bidding process will begin September 18th. And also on the agenda, on the attachments, it says RFP 8 pages. That's actually 2 pages, and the photos are 8 pages. I got ahead of myself. So the deadline for the proposals will be October 11th at 2 o'clock, and I'll look at them at 2:30 that same day. We'll do interviews with a prospective bidder. We'll award the contract the week of the 17th. And then approximate start date's November 7th. We've looked at our schedules. It's hard to make everybody happy on this one. It's just going to be a 3-week job, probably. And if we plan on finishing by November 26th. So would you please consider and approve the bid specifications and the RFP for Bob Kildee Park?
What impact is this going to have on the Boys and Girls Club since they think they own that parking lot?
We've sent a letter to them already notifying what's going on. They'll still have the main driveway that goes to the front of their Boys and Girls Club and a few spots there.
Okay.
And we won't be 100% closed at one time. We'll do the trees area. They'll work on that first and get all that torn out and repatched, and then they'll start. The Boys and Girls Club is probably the best side we have in that park. So all the work's basically in front of the pool and the baseball side.
Okay. And
let me just clarify that. You're going to be doing it's phasing. You're going to be phasing it in. You're not going to shut down the entire parking lot at one time.
Right. If I'm a contractor, I'm coming in there doing certain ways to make it most efficient.
There will be at one point that we may have to close that down, but it will not be for the majority of it. Okay. There will be different phases, but there may be a portion. Once they come in and clean, they're not going to come in and clean and then reopen it to have people drive on it. So there will be a period of time, but we're trying to minimize that as much as possible. And yes, the Boys and Girls Club, I've mentioned to them this summer and then actually sent them another email to give them a heads up based on that information. We've also worked with Recreation to look at pool schedules to try and make pony baseball to go in between. So we have made sure that we're kind of have kind of covered our bases to make sure that we're trying to do as least amount of closures as possible.
That's not level. Are you going to kind of have a slight rise up to the area over by the Boys and Girls Club, or how are you going to do that?
No, they won't mess with any of that other than slurry that area, and then replace the bad areas. In that they won't. If it's not level, we're not going to tear it out and regrade it. Everything. We just don't have the funds for that. That'd be
so
$500,000.
it's just going to be filling.
Right, we're going to fix the low spots that are all bad, we're going to mark out, of course, and then go from there. And like I said, they'll probably cut those out, they'll replace them, get them up to level, and then they'll re-slurry the whole parking lot.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, Bob, could we go back to that aerial view? There we go. So is the entire parking lot all the way up to the Boys and Girls Club? That is entirely our parking lot?
No, you see that big group of trees in the middle?
Yes.
To the left of that, there's a row of trees that go straight across.
Yes.
There's a line right in that area, so basically we'll go from those trees over.
From those trees back toward the
park.
toward the tennis courts.
Yes.
And then toward the pool from there.
And then
too.
from the pool all the way over to the boys' baseball side.
So that little triangular, semi-triangular section, I guess.
Yes.
In the front belongs to the Boys and Girls Club.
Yes, that small front area is theirs.
Okay. Is that that's not going? Are they interested in doing that, or is it what is the condition of that parking lot? Do you know?
I didn't look at it, to be honest with you. I'm sorry.
So we will not be dealing with that.
No.
We'll just go right up to that edge.
They're aware of what we're doing, and they didn't say anything about jumping on board. So
okay, and everything that is plant material in that entire area that we're redoing is all going to be eliminated and just paved over.
The group of the 6 trees in the middle will be removed, okay. And there's nothing scheduled to go back in there. Okay. We have no water in there that I'm aware of.
Okay. So everything, the smaller groups of trees and things on the edges will remain?
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, thank you.
How long, when they fill in those low spots, how long do those generally last?
Quite a while. I mean, as long as we take care of it and slurry it every 4 to 5 years, it should take us a while to deteriorate.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay. Mark?
Yeah, this is what happens when you done too many things through your life, including selling parking lot striping equipment. So it occurs to me that the layout of the parking spaces there doesn't really optimize the space, and to make the bid specs redo the striping exactly the way it was wastes the extra space that we'll get by taking those trees out. And if you did diagonal parking like you get in a typical shopping center parking lot where they go both directions, I think we could probably get another row of parking in there. Now, it would take a professional at this to say yes or no to that question, but I have a feeling that we can get significantly more parking out of that space than we have had in the past. I don't know how you work that into bid specifications, but I would invite the bidders to propose better designs of the layout in the bids.
I had a contractor, actually had 2 come out and look at it and give me ideas, one for the money, what's going to cost us, and to look at that area, and can we get more spots out of it? Yeah. And both of them said, no, you might get 1 or 2. It's not worth the money and the effort you're going to put into it for the 5 extra spots, maybe 6. So, I mean, yes, I can. When we have a job walk, I'll throw it out there and say, is there any way we can address this to get more out of it?
Yeah, because when you park cars sideways, you don't need as deep a space. You don't need as wide a space as when they park parallel, which is what we have now.
They asked for 25 or 28 feet between parking spots for people to drive through.
Yeah.
And to reconfigure that you have to reconfigure that whole lot. But again, I'll gladly ask.
It's easy to reconfigure it because it's just going to be completely repaved. So there'll be no evidence of any parking spaces whatsoever. And I think a clean sheet approach to it can probably make it more efficient. I know when we have activities at the skate park and at the pool, and every parking space is precious, because that's another place where parking overflows into the neighborhood. And I'd just like to make sure that we look at that closely and make sure we don't leave any stone unturned to try and get some more parking out of that lot.
Okay, no problem. I'll make note of that when I do the job walk.
That was the only thing that I had. I'm really glad we're moving forward with this, that parking lot is there in those areas is truly terrible and needs to be fixed. So.
The only question I have, in your documentation here, that working hours are Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I see that. Is that, with the apartments right across the street, is that a normal working hour, 7 a.m. start time?
Yes.
I know construction people love 7 a.m.
No, 7 a.m. city
code. But per city code and everything else, so. Yeah. Okay, so if neighbors call up or something,
right.
I mean, we can't put, okay, so that's realistic. I mean, for construction, that's a realistic number that everybody uses. It's not, we're not the exception to the rule.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're following the ongoing standards.
Yeah, before we can drag ball fields on the softball, baseball fields, we can't start till 7. And if we do, we do get the complaints.
I just want to make sure that we're in compliance with everybody else on that. Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Do I have a motion?
I move we approve the bid specifications in the RFP for the asphalt replacement located at Bob Kildee Park parking lot, and direct staff to solicit proposals for the approved bid specifications.
I second.
Roll call, please.
Director Malloy.
Aye.
Director Magner.
Aye.
Director Kelly. Aye. Director Dixon.
Aye.
Chairman Mishler.
Aye. Now we're going to move on to agenda item 8F, which is consideration and approval of requests for proposals for a 5-year lease on a cutter copier.
Thank you. Chairman Mishler again, Mitchell Cameron, Administrative Analyst for the Pleasant Valley Recreation and Park District. Today I'm requesting that you review and approve the request for proposal for a new 5-year lease on a color copier. Background, 5 years ago, 2012, we leased a Canon IRC 5045. Currently, that machine has over 1.1 million clicks or pages printed. The performance of the machine has deteriorated, resulting in service calls. In the event that the lease were to expire, this could result in an increase in cost to the district to maintain the machine. And again, the lease does end in March 28th, 2017. The district analyzed, I apologize, 3 different options, one including a buyout of the current lease, or the lease of with our current copier. The reason we determined that this may not, the reason we're not recommending this solution is because of the high click count on the current copier. Our concern is if we buy it out, our maintenance costs are going to quickly exceed a new lease agreement. We also analyzed the option of purchasing a new copier outright. Our concern with this, or the reason we're not recommending this option, is because it's a high upfront cost, and we're not sure what maintenance costs will look like down the future, and we have not budgeted for a new copier at this time. The third option that we're reviewing and we are recommending is a lease of a new copier at the end of our current lease. Right now, with this action, there'll be no fiscal impact. What we would do is submit the request for proposal, get an idea of what the cost is. Right now, we don't have a firm identification of what the cost is. Based off what the fiscal impact will be, we'll bring that to the board for approval of the contract. And again, we are requesting to review and approve the request for proposal for a new 5-year lease on a color copier. Any questions or concerns or comments?
Bob, you want to start? Do you have any questions or anything?
I'm not a big fan of Canon copiers, but other than that...
Well, that's not...
no.
Okay.
I know Director Malloy has some experience in this subject. He's done many jobs in his lifetime. This is one of them.
Yeah. Yes, I did sell copy equipment too. And I've also leased 5 machines, very similar in size and capability to what we have. In 2012, I actually recommended the vendor that we currently use with the Canon. And the machine's given us great service, and 1,000,001 clicks is really tremendous. I remember the conversation very clearly. Amy's smiling because the staff proposed the fastest one they made, and which I think was 55 pages per minute. And Elaine's smiling too; she remembers the story. And we were doing 5,000 copies a month, and I did a little quick math, and it's like half of a morning, and you could do your whole month's copying on a machine that fast. So we went back and we took the second fastest Swiss machine, which is in fact the same machine. They take the same hardware and they change the speed of the throughput and charge different levels of pricing based on that, with very little actual physical difference in the machine. That's just the nature of the copy machine business. So working out 5 years, which we're not quite to yet. We're still, about 6 months short of the 5 years, which is the length of the lease time. We're at 1.1 million copies. We clearly are doing more than 5,000 copies a month, so a faster machine makes some sense. I don't know how you develop these specifications, but typically I always tried to do it when I was selling this stuff is I would get the specifications of my machine in there, and I'd make sure to include a few things that no other brand had, so that the only one that could conform to the specs would be my brand. And one of the things that stuck out to me here is single pass duplexing scanning speed of 100 images per minute. And I really have no idea why we would ever need such a capability. So, but I know what'll happen is all the vendors will submit their bids, and they'll highlight the exceptions, and we'll still be able to make a good decision, even though this is what it is. But this isn't something that we need to be doing until the end of the lease in March, and the dealer has a contracted obligation to keep our machine running and to put whatever parts are in it or needed and to keep it running until that time. And they know how to do that, and they will do that. But certainly a machine with this many copies is it needs to be replaced. I do know that no matter what machine you have, they break down. And they always seem to break down when you have a really big job you have done right now. So if we had another place to put this machine, it might be good to have a backup machine. Typically, the fair market value of a copier like this with 1 million clicks is next to nothing. And in fact, they've got to pay to dispose of it if we take it out, and it might actually make sense to make a spare tire out of it. But that's really, staff's got to figure that out. But we need to have that fair market value number before you can really make that decision. I've also bought used equipment. I bought a used copy machine for the church, and I think we paid $4,000 for it. It does all of this stuff. And we run it to death, and separately the dealer has a maintenance contract, provides the service. There's really a two-step process in this. And there's the sale of the machine, which a leasing company finances. And once you sign the contract, the payment for the machine is between us and the leasing company. And they have no involvement in whether we're happy or unhappy or anything. We owe X number of months, X number of dollars per month times the terms of the contract, period. And if you want to bail out, they say, sure, you owe us another 37 months at X number of dollars a month, and we'll let you out. And, you're essentially completely locked in. So the purchase side of it really has to do with a financial transaction. And typically, the manufacturers subsidize the lease rates, so it's really cheap, and it may actually make sense for us. But when we do the bids, you want to get both a purchase, an outright purchase, and a lease proposal, so you can actually run the numbers and see what the interest cost is. Because 5 years ago, we didn't have the option to buy a copy machine. We didn't have the fiscal option. Now we have that option, and if the financials don't make it advantageous, it doesn't make any sense to do it. Because we own it, we own that obligation, whether we purchase it outright or we sign a lease contract. We're in for the money. And so that's kind of my take on the whole thing. I think it certainly is okay to go out and get requests for proposals and evaluate competitive machines. And there always seems to be somebody really hungry and willing to make a good deal. And certainly the amount of copying we do, which is really substantial, is really helping keep those per copy costs down. And we'll continue to do. Having consistent users that know how to use the machine means there's few failures caused by user error, which saves the dealer money. I mean, we have a very attractive customer in the district, and I think we'll do this well. But just understand that the purchase and the maintenance and the supplies are completely separate transactions. The dealers love to bundle them together, as do the manufacturers, because the manufacturers all have their own sales teams as well. So we just want to make sure that we're getting all of the things we need. And of course, I imagine Emily was involved in this.
Yeah, we seek staff input in development of the specifications.
Yeah, she's the one that's going to work this thing hard, and with the graphic stuff that she does. So, okay, that's the only comments I have.
I have a question for Director Malloy. Don't these companies also sometimes farm out their maintenance and have like a separate company do the maintenance for them?
Not typically. The large manufacturers have their own sales teams and employees. You know, like Canon has their own sales team. It's based in Calabasas, and they will sell you the machine directly, and they have their own service staff. And of course, their sales rep will tell you that the factory service staff is better. When I was using document systems, the district used a copy system, they provided great service for us. We had an outstanding sales rep and a good machine, and you know, it worked out really great. It's really a decision that you don't really know about, because a company, you know, one of the large manufacturers like Konica Minolta or Canon, they have a lot of resources to replace people with, whereas some of the smaller dealers, you don't necessarily have that. But you also have the experience working locally and with a lot of customer bases locally, and you know, they have extra parts, or you can borrow. I know I used to loan toner cartridges to the district, and Mark would loan one to the church when we ran out of the wrong color for a day or two. So you know, there's a lot of support things you can get out of a local supplier that you wouldn't want to have to drive to Calabasas to get. So it just, once you put this out there, you'll get a lot of proposals.
Yeah, and that's really why we're approaching this at an early time. Our current lease, we have to provide between a 90 and 180-day notice of whether or not we're going to continue that lease or cancel the lease and purchase and go through a different option. So that's why we're trying to be as proactive as possible. And like you said, Document System has provided service to this point, but we just want to see what prices are out there and whether or not we can get a better value for the district.
Yeah,
that's it.
So, Director Malloy, do you suggest we go for purchase and for lease?
Well,
both?
you just ask for the numbers.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You ask for the numbers because you know, it's just like buying a car. I mean, it costs almost as much as a car. So,
I know.
You know, it's a really significant purchase. Okay. And in the past, when we didn't really have the option to buy one because we didn't have the financial resources to buy a $15,000 piece of equipment, you know, a lease was it. You just compare the lease. But when you do have the financial resources, then you know, you always make a rent it, buy it sort of choice. But I want to make sure staff understands that once you make a decision to lease it, you have made a decision to own it over a 5-year period. It's not oh, let's change it out, let's upgrade it to a different model. Ain't gonna happen. You have a contract with a leasing company and you're locked in. So
okay, all right. Thank you.
Anything else, sir?
No, nothing.
Yeah.
No, I'm just impressed that Director Malloy has so much knowledge about copy machines. That makes me wish I'd had more careers in my life, but I'm certainly willing to follow his lead on this issue. So.
The only question I have is, and this is a curious question. I don't need an exact answer number. We're obviously paying a leasing amount per month, or whatever, for the current machine or whatever the new machine, if we do lease in the future. Is our, I call it ink supplies, but the cartridges that are going in there or whatever, is that actually as much or more? Because typically when I go down, if I went down to an office supply store and bought a printer, most of those printers are pretty cheap. And of course, what really costs you are all the ink cartridges. Are the ink cartridges or the cost to print actually higher than the actual cost of the lease on a monthly basis? Or I'm just curious, you know?
I would have to confirm the numbers with you. I believe that the paper cost is more expensive. We pay per page to document systems. So I believe right now we pay 0.008 cents per black and white, and I believe it's, I don't have the exact number for the color.
But we still have to pay. We still have to buy the paper, aren't we?
So we buy the paper.
And we buy the ink cartridges, don't we?
They
they're supplying them?
Yes.
That's
part
good.
of the per page.
Okay, I didn't realize that. Okay, that's great.
But we do supply the paper.
I didn't realize that. I learned something.
Yeah, they bundle in maintenance of the machine and supplies cost at a per-click charge. And it's 8/10 of it. In our contract, we're paying 8/10 of a cent for a black and white copy and 6.3 cents for a color copy, which are very attractive rates and made possible by the high volume, and they're negotiated. They're subject to review each year. And typically they like to try and bump it up. You know, the good news about that is you never have to worry about an unexpected cost on the machine, because if the thing catches fire, they come in and replace the whole thing. I mean, that's what the contract is for. So, you know, the district's totally covered as to potential exposure for failures, and our costs are locked in at prices that we understand. And, you know, like when we want to print 10,000 of something, then we run the numbers of what it costs to print them in a house, and you look at what it costs to print it outside, and you go, okay, we print it outside. Or, you know, 5,000, you know, whatever the particular job is, you make a decision of what it costs. But this costs stay consistent and definable. And that's all part of the proposal that each vendor will make.
That's all I had. Mark, you want to make a proposal or with the extra wording in there?
No, I don't want to put any extra wording in there, because let's approve the RFP for a 5-year, let's say 5-year lease or purchase on a color copy.
Oh, okay, that's what I'm saying.
Lease or purchase, yeah.
And I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Director Malloy.
Aye.
Director Magner.
Aye.
Director Kelly. Director Dixon.
Aye.
Chairman Mishler.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Next is motion, agenda item 8G, consideration and approval of two representatives for the Ad Hoc Needs Assessment Committee. Is anybody going to be, Mary's going to be talking? Oh, Mary's pointing to herself.
Yep,
Yes,
I
Mary
got
can
this.
talk about this.
So one of the things that that the board has done in the past is when we are working on a large project like a needs assessment, or when we were doing the park signage or stuff, is to look at an ad hoc committee that would then kind of spearhead that process as we move forward. So one of the items that Chairman Mishler had asked to put on the agenda to be able to discuss is consider an approval of 2 representatives for the Ad Hoc Needs Assessment Committee, so we can kind of start that, which would then, once we go through the needs assessment or get the proposals, then would sit on and help pick the vendors for that and kind of move that process forward to be a part of that process. So tonight, hopefully, we will have some discussion and two members.
Elaine, do you want to start?
Yeah, I don't have enough on my plate, but I would sure like to be involved with it. I'm, you know, I just think that it's so necessary, and that I think I have the time to give to it, and would look forward to working on that committee.
But you like the concept of doing this, is what I'm saying.
Oh, yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Neil, you have any comments or questions?
No, I just think it is important to have board members on this committee, so I'm in favor of the concept.
Okay, well, you have anything? Mark?
This looks like a lot of work. And looks really important, too. So I'm up for doing it.
Okay. I think, do we have to appoint them to, we have a motion, we have to make a motion first to set up the ad hoc committee, correct? I think is what we're going to do. And then we, or do we have to appoint the two people at the same time? My question.
You can. I think part of it was just to consider if you wanted to have it ad hoc, and then you can also make another motion, or you can do one motion, motion to consider approve two representatives and appoint two people. You can do either way.
Are the two representatives voted on by the board, or are they appointed by the chairman?
I think it's worked kind of in past. My understanding is there's been both a combination of people volunteering as well as both the chair appointing, but.
Well, I propose that we just first have a motion to set up an ad hoc committee and make sure that we're in agreement with that, and then we can move on to the two members if we are going to get that to that point. So do I have a motion just to set up an ad hoc committee for this?
Yes, I'll move that we develop or to appoint two members to an ad hoc committee for as representatives of the ad hoc needs assessment committee.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Director Dixon?
Aye.
Director Magner?
Aye.
Director Kelly? Director Malloy?
Aye.
Chairman Mishler?
Aye. And then, okay, so I'm interested, Elaine's interested, and Mark Malloy is interested. I propose that it's up to the board. Do you want to? I propose that maybe Elaine and myself work this. I have some background in history, and I've done a lot of background on this. I think Elaine has done some stuff. I know Mark's interested. I'm sure he can do a great job too, but I'm just trying to spread out the workload here and stuff. Do we want to actually have a motion on that board, or you want to, or do you want me to?
Well, why don't we just have a motion to appoint you and Elaine?
Okay.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
What is the motion?
Elaine and myself will be
Okay.
members of the ad hoc committee. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Do you,
Roll call, please.
Chairman Mishler, would you like to put like an alternate on there just in case one of you
Okay. And
couldn't
then
make it?
We'll have the alternate as Mark Malloy. Director Mark Malloy would be the alternate.
So let's amend my motion. I'm running out of water here. Amend my motion to appoint Director Magner and Chairman Mishler, and make Director Malloy alternate to this committee.
Second.
Roll call.
Okay.
Are you okay there?
Second?
Yeah.
Director Malloy?
Aye.
Director Dixon?
Aye.
Director Kelly? Aye. Director Magner?
Aye.
Chairman Mishler?
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Okay. Now we're going to go on to informational items, number 9. I'm going to start off, and just want to mention to the council and public that at the Optimist Club Monday meeting a couple weeks back, I gave an overview for the Rec and Park District to the Optimist Club. And I tried to focus in on, I'm not going to give you the whole talk, of course, for half an hour, but this one, I focused in on things that typically most people wouldn't know. And they were very surprised about all the different things that were going on behind the scenes that they had no clue about, that you never read about in the newspaper or anything, or even hear up here. And one of the things I was able to point out was to focus in on the senior center and how the cities of Thousand Oaks and Simi Valley operate in a different mode than the city of Camarillo and stuff. So we went through all that. And what's coming up for the Optimist Club over this month and next month is they're going to have all 5 city council candidates coming in on various Mondays, different Mondays, to come in and talk and meet with the Optimist Club. And so I'm warning all the candidates, if they're listening, that they're going to be primed up for some questions on the senior center. The other thing, when I asked for, it was interesting. One thing the only feedback from the Optimist Club about Rec and Park, when I asked for feedback about ideas and stuff, was the sound system in our auditorium. This, everybody know. I mean, that was it. Multiple people from the Optimist Club all chimed in on that, and that was their biggest issue they had with Recs and Parks. And I have, just to let you know, I've already asked Mary and staff to look into various options to improve the sound system, speaker system in the auditorium. It doesn't mean we're going to do anything, but just look at some options. There was for that. I just want to mention that. I've already mentioned that Mark Malloy and myself attended the Military Expo, and that was a very, as we already talked about, a very, very well-run, well-organized, well-attended event. And I just want to mention briefly, and this is just kind of a fun follow-up to the Mel Vincent Park, that developer is, of course, putting in various housing tracts around there. And I'm not sure how many acres there are, but what I did, I went through and counted up the number of units, and with an average pricing per unit, and just for fun, and I went through the property tax calculation very quickly. I spent a whole minute doing this and came up with roughly how much income will be coming into Rec and Park off the property tax once that whole place is developed and all the condos, townhomes, and houses are sold. And it actually does. We actually not only pay for Mel Vincent Park, we're going to have some money left over. So it's nice to know that development in there is not only paying for the water and maintenance and care of Mel Vincent Park, we're actually going to be generating some net profits for the rest of the district to also use. But I thought that was interesting. I was just doing that for curiosity's sake. So anyway, next up is the Special District Association in California Special District Association. Elaine, you have anything there?
Yeah, pages.
Okay.
I'll go quickly. On August 2nd, we hosted the Ventura County Special District Association meeting at the Senior Center. The guest speaker was Darren Kettle, the Executive Director for Ventura County Transportation Commission, and he spoke on the proposed half-cent transportation sales tax. Catherine LeMay from the CSDA Membership Services Director was there. She came in the place of Chris. He was on vacation, so gave us an update on legislation. I'm not going to give you an update on legislation tonight, so maybe next month I'll give you an update. On the 19th of August, I traveled to Sacramento for the California Special Districts Association Fiscal Committee. We approved the recommended 2017, or I guess I should say we recommended to approve to the Executive Board the 2017 CSDA budget. In that budget, CSDA does a strategic plan for 3 years, and in that 3-year plan, they decide what their increase is going to be for their membership fees. And last year, It was supposed to be 8%, and we held it at 7%. This year, it was supposed to be at 7%, and we brought it down to 6.5%. So I think we're seeing some driving force of stabilizing the membership fees. The membership fees went up a little bit because of the addition of staff, and that's Chris is one of them, and they're going to do 5 network public affairs people. One of the things that they have done in the past that I think the people that are here and are aware of is we used to pay for an outside legal advocate, Ralph Himes, and we no longer have that contract. So Kyle Packham is now our legal advocate at the state level, and I think he's doing an absolutely wonderful job. And this is part of his staffing to give him support and for us to get the call of actions and for the support that they're getting. And this year we did 1 call of action and we got 90 responses from the members across the state, and the most they'd ever gotten was 19 responses. So I think we're seeing a lot of support to him, and he's developing a wonderful relationship with the people across the way over in the Capitol. So I think it's well worth our time and our effort that we do that and the money that we spend. Last Friday, I was back up in Sacramento for another CSDA meeting. It was the bi-meeting at which time we did approve the budget, and we also approved the new strategic plan for the next 3 years. It was kind of an interesting day. Not that I've cared to be in Sacramento that much, but one of the main things that came out of the meeting was the staff, and this is Kyle's area, is trying to enhance or to an effort to increase the understanding and awareness of special districts across the state. So they've launched a statewide video contest for California high school and college students. They're invited to participate in a Districts Make a Difference video contest. The submissions have to be submitted by October 30th. And I think it's an interesting way they're going to pick the winner is they're going to pick 5 finalists, and then they're going to feature them on the website, and the 5 finalists can get people to vote for their video. And there's going to be 3 scholarships, 1 for $2,000, 1 for $1,000, and 1 for $500. So if anybody out there or any of us have got family members or friends that have got high school seniors or college students that would like to get a little bit of additional money, why this is a way to do it. Amy has had staff post this on the Facebook page. I've also been in contact with the Camarillo High School Career Center, and hopefully one of them might do one on Pleasant Valley Recreation and Park District. So that's the get from CSDA. So if you're interested, it's up on the website, on our website, and also on our Facebook page. So, and I want to thank Amy for that. So, but sorry.
That's good. Okay, thank you, Elaine. And the next meeting for the Ventura County Special District Association will be on October 4th at the Camarillo Rec and Park District offices. Will be the next meeting coming up. And they're going to have the ex-FBI agent in there talking about security and various things like that for government agencies and stuff. We just lined that up yesterday. Okay, next up is 9C, which is Santa Monica Mountains Conservatory. And I attended the July 18th meeting, which was their last meeting. And the main point that came up there was we voted to support a measure that's coming up in Los Angeles County, which should be interesting. It's Los Angeles County Parks Measure, and this will be on the ballot coming up for November of this year. And what the LA County is doing is this measure will raise it'd be 1.5 cents per square foot of a home would be added to your assessment for your property tax. And so an example would be if you have a 1,500 square foot house, it'd be an additional $22.50 you have to pay every year. This goes to the county and they disperse it out to all the different neighborhoods and schools and, not schools, cities and park districts and stuff. And this money only goes to parks, it's just to maintain and support and build new parks and maintain them. And so if this does pass, it will raise about $94 million per year in Los Angeles County for the various parks to be divided up. I thought that was kind of interesting. So we'll see how that turns out in the November election. That's all I have. Next, we have standing committees. Mark, you want to talk about finance or anything?
Yeah, we did an initial review on numbers for last year, but Leo's still getting adjustments and corrections to get last year's expenses into last year's, and there's bills still coming in. But the news looks really good. We look significantly over on revenue and significantly under on spending. My favorite two outcomes. So we'll have more details on that in the months ahead.
Elaine, was there anything on personnel to mention?
No, we dealt with it with the new salary scale.
Is there anything on policy to bring up?
Yeah, we had the policy.
Yeah, okay, there's nothing new. There's nothing else.
Range things.
Okay.
No, that's all.
Next is, Neil, you have anything for the foundation?
Yeah, the foundation's next fundraising event is on for the 24th of this month at Camarillo Grove Park. I had someone contact me today to ask me where is Camarillo Grove Park, which is almost one of the reasons why you should think about coming, because Camarillo Grove Park is one of the treasures of this this facility or this organization that a lot of the population doesn't know about. It's much more rustic than most of our parks. A lot of old, beautiful oak trees. The nature center. Trails. It's a really great place to see. Last year, this event was named by the Acorn as one of the top 10 events of 2015, and we're hoping that it's going to be just as successful this year. We're going to have live music, bluegrass music, barbecue, ribs and chicken, and hors d'oeuvres and dessert and wine and beer, and a great evening, and very casual. No, you don't need to dress up for it. Amy earlier this evening gave a really nice presentation on some of the work that's being done with the money we raised from last year, the adaptive equipment for the community center park. That's going to be the groundbreaking will be tomorrow. And we hope to be continuing to raise money for great programs that we would not otherwise be able to afford within the district. So I encourage everyone to come out for a really nice evening, see a park that maybe you didn't know was there and maybe you can enjoy for the future, and help us raise some money for some really good programs that feed right back into your own community. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. General Manager's reports next.
Yeah. Couple updates. Met with Camarillo regarding the Wood Creek well. They're working right now to do plan design for the structure and kind of what plants and materials will go around that to soften that so it doesn't look like just a big brick wall. Once they've finished that, then what they will end up doing is they've told the community they would kind of go back out and do some outreach just to make sure they get community input on that. Their expected timeline right now would be then to go out to bid, and expecting work right now, if everything pens out, probably sometime next spring. So it's going to be a little while before all that happens. But just as an update with that, other kind of water project updates right now on the east side. We approved, or the board approved, a contract back in November with Comstock. So we finally now got all the smart controllers, valves, and flow sensors in. So the last piece right now is to get the internet up. So those will actually be running. So working on that piece, we are working on the west side now is part of the water mitigation with the city. We had a developer by the name of Hawkeye Investments come to us and ask us for water. And so we have gone back and asked them to perform an irrigation audit with on our parks to figure out if there's ways that we can save, and if we can, what that would look like. So we're in the process of at least having an initial discussion with them of what and if there are potential options. As you've heard tonight, Mel Vincent Park, if you haven't driven by there, you'll notice that the sod tables, part of the playground, some of the pour and play, some of that is in. They still have work to do on getting all the power, the lights, the volleyball, the pavilion and stuff, but they're right now projecting opening, or their projected end date is sometime in October. Our what we consider a growing period is sometime in January, at which time we'll come back and we'll do a grand opening for that park once we have a little bit better idea what that looks like. But looking tentative January, just knowing that December with all the events and Christmas and holidays doesn't always match up. So capital projects, just to give you some updates on some of those things. Charter Oak Wind Row will be working on that sometime, probably mid to late October. Once again, trimming, doing all of those kinds of things before the winter hits. Slurrying the middle part of PV Fields, we took that in 3 sections. We're looking sometime in mid to late October. Once we have the exact finalized dates, we'll be working with the various agencies. It's during the week, so we don't have to worry about weekends, which we know is our highest area. Bob Kildee, we talked about that with the parking lot. The tree, that will be done in November, looking at pulling the trees and all of that stuff out first, which it'll be sometime in October. So the next couple months will be really busy. A couple other things is when they were doing working at the pool, we have some skylights. There'll be 5 skylights that'll need to be replaced there. So just some updates and some things that have been happening with some of the capital projects items that are going on. Some other city projects working on right now, still working with them on Quimby and Quimby fees and some of those kinds of items. They actually called us about a week or so to talk about a potential bike trail and project to extend the one out at PV Fields. We'll be bringing that back to the board. I've got to get some answers and some stuff from them, and whether we would want to go forward. So we'll bring that back probably the special session or in October. They have committed to assisting us with the needs assessment, so we are making at least strides forward with that on some of those kinds of things. As Director Magner said, there are legislative, but I'll let her go over those. And I think every day I get a packet from either CPRD or from CSDA of stuff that may affect the district. Just as a couple of items, I know we've had the conversation with school facilities. There are some things going through with school facilities used by nonprofit and youth organizations that'll be coming through. And once we get that information, I'll update everybody on that. And then a couple other items is, I think a couple people have stated, the election update. The district won't need to hold an election, which is nice, because that also saves the district $30,000, so we can use that on programs or other such needs that we have. And then the last thing right now is just committee updates. There's State of the City. We have the groundbreaking tomorrow night for the playground. The Association of Water Agencies receptions this month. We have Finance Committee, and then an evening at the Grove. So busy month for the district on various levels. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Mary. Did you want to talk about these plants or cups or anything?
Actually, what I will let Amy speak to those, since that came from one of our instructors.
So we handed these out at our Mediterranean garden tour back in July, and these were extras that we had. And one of our outdoor education instructors, she's also been an instructor with us for number of years now. These were what were left, and she wanted to make sure that you had them. We used clippings just from friends and everyone who had succulents. We had the mugs donated, and we created the labels and put them on there. And actually, when we handed them out in July, it was a hit. Everyone was so happy with that. So they're yours to keep, and I'm sure they look nice on television tonight.
Thank you, Amy. Bob, you want to start off with any comments?
Yes, actually I do. First of all, I'd just like to announce that as people sitting at home maybe know, that I am the legal counsel and chief volunteer for the Eagle Soccer Club, and they have been asked by U.S. Soccer, the organization that produces the World Cup teams, to play in their academy program. There'll be 50 teams, or 51 or 52 maybe, depending, who operate in this program, and from those programs it's very likely that most of the girls who play on the World Cup team will come from there, maybe even from one of ours. Secondly, we have a player that has been assigned to the U17 World Cup team, and we're very proud of her for doing that. She's also attending Stanford this next year. Thirdly, tonight we were somewhat blistered by some of our citizens about communication, and I never received a communication regarding the gentleman for whom they wanted to name the park for. And so I just want to reiterate, anybody that has something serious they want to talk to me about Park and Rec, call me at my law office. I'm in the book, 2-page ad, you can't miss me. Just go ahead and call me there. Ask my secretary to patch you through, and I'll be glad to talk to you. Lastly, there was a gentleman that spoke, and normally when I have a private conversation with a resident, I do not ever repeat anything that was said during that conversation. However, the gentleman spoke tonight, and he indicated that he had spoken with one of the board members. Well, I was that board member. And I'm confident, after having 2 fairly serious conversations with this gentleman, that he in no way intended to cast aspersion to this board, that any of these board members were doing anything by way of a criminal act. He used, in my opinion, this is not his words, these are mine, it was more for dramatic effect. And like I said, we spoke at length about this subject, and I believe every word that he says that that's what he meant, and I take him at his word. Therefore, I officially retract what I said in my last comment period 2 months ago about the things that were said when he presented himself to the board on that same night. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mark, you have anything?
Yes, I do. I want to mention Camarillo Community Band and give them a little plug, because Mike and I and my wife Kathleen attended a couple of their summer concerts, and they're just an awesome group. It was so fun. They let the audience vote on what their favorite song was, and they agree to play it again the next week, and they sort of take requests, and it's just, they have a different band leader each week from the high schools around the area, and it's just a really fabulous summer night thing to do. And, you know, just another one of the tons of stuff that goes on here that most of us don't have time to get around to doing. But it was really neat, and I'm looking forward to them coming back next year, and I'll try and make more than 2 of the 4. But it was really excellent. And the other thing I want to do is congratulate my 2 partners in crime here, Dr. Dixon and Chairman Mishler, for their re-election. And, you know, my favorite campaign is the one I don't have to do. So I'm very happy too, and I'm especially happy that the district doesn't have to share in the election costs. So that's you know, roughly $30,000 that we can plow back into the district. And I'd like to think that no one ran for our jobs because they think we're doing a great job, but it also may be because we don't get paid enough, and maybe we need a raise. But I'm just kidding. But anyway, congratulations, and 4 more years for the 3 of us. And I kind of challenge myself each time I get reelected to, like, okay, you got to do a little better this time. You know, you have another 4 years of experience. You're doing a little better, and I look forward to figuring out how to do that with the staff's help.
So that's all I have.
I just want to add what Mark was saying there, that when I was talking to the Optimist Club, I said well, the benefits for this position, being on a board member, is that we get a free sandwich and a cookie before this meeting once a month. That's we know no health benefits, no retirement or anything else, but we get a free cookie. So, Neil, you have anything?
No, nothing to add. Thank you.
Elaine?
How do you follow that, huh? I do have something, and this kind of goes on what Chairperson Mishler was talking about, was as I was getting out of the car on KNX, they were on the news were saying that the LA City had decided to increase the developer fees in the city of LA for parks. So it sounds like LA County and LA City both are heading after the developer fees and upping them. So should be interesting to see. So, and also congratulations to the three of you. The five of us will be together at least for another 2 years. So we'll give Mary some gray hair. And Amy, thank you for the succulents. Did Mary get one?
It's in her office.
Oh, okay. I'll stop by every once in a while and water it then.
That's why it's probably not here. They were afraid.
Thank you.
Okay, and what I want to do before we close is to mention that Bob Stallings, a previous board member here and a person of our community, has passed away, and we want to dedicate this session to him. But and Mark Malloy, I've asked Mark to say a few more words about Bob because he's worked with him and more familiar with Bob.
Bob was our park superintendent for, 20 years. And after he left our employment in one of the many rounds of budget cuts we've had to absorb, he came back and was elected to the board. And he actually had my seat. I replaced Bob on the board. And he not only made great contributions from a staff perspective, but he along with Director Ham, were responsible for really upgrading how this place runs. I mean, the board used to approve a budget on a single sheet of paper with just sort of yeah, that looks good. And Bob Stallings and Patty Ham instituted a real budget process, which has grown each year and become better and better, and allows the board more interaction, more control about actually how this $8 million gets spent each year. And that just strikes me as one of the many things that he left behind, and he'll be missed.
Thank you, Mark. Well, I'll go ahead and close the meeting in honor of Bob Stallings.